Hi, this is Yarlin,
And this is Katie.
and this is Fae and Fables. So today we're gonna talk about Phantasma,
Yes.
which is book one in the Wicked Games series by Kaylie Smith. We are so excited to talk about this one today. I think
yeah.
you and I both love this one so much. This is definitely I love a gothic
Oh,
romance.
honestly, it's when we're recording this, it's about to be like summer,
Mm.
but this took me to fall vibes. This took me to
Mm.
spooky town. I
love
got a
that.
little scared at first, and then I was kind of into it. I was like, okay, I get spooky. I get spooky.
Oh my gosh. So it was a great time. So we are going to first talk about a little bit of the disclaimers. So spoilers for the book as a whole. Obviously, we deep dive into this book and all our books. So if you haven't read it, go ahead and read it. Or if you haven't read it and you just want to hear us talk about it, that's also great. So some of the content includes like graphic violence, sexual content, death, the paranormal, and mental health themes. So this podcast does contain adult languages.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, it does.
And themes. So, we're rated R around here.
Oh yes.
It's this podcast is not designated to be a replacement for therapy or any type of diagnosing. Specifically with this book, we do see a specific diagnosis that this I was about to say this client that this character portrays, and again, this specific diagnosis looks different for everyone, so don't diagnose yourself with what she's got going on. So we're gonna get into reader mind.
Yes.
I would love to hear your ratings, Katie, for this
Oh my
book.
gosh. I loved this book. I gave it a 5 out of 5. I was so happy. It had everything. I think I liked how strong the vibe of the book was. It very much spooky, paranormal, like you said, gothic. It enveloped me in sort of the world and the feeling of the story itself. I loved the FMC and the MMC. I loved their love. I loved I really, from start to finish, it captured me right from the beginning, and then I just had a good old time. And I thought what was nice about it is the action was so consistent. I don't remember getting to a point where I thought, man, I'm bored, or what are we doing? The plot really drove itself forward, and I think it was really helped by the fact that they were competing in these games, and there was always something happening.
It was action packed.
Yeah, it was in multiple ways, and so I just it was action packed in so many ways.
It sounds really good with the ASMR on here.
When we record, Yarlin has headphones in so she can hear us, but I don't, and so she's getting the full experience, the full IMAX experience right now. But yeah, I can't think of a single thing when I reflect back where I would go, I really wanted fill in the blank to be different. It really turned out. I thought the twist at the end was great, which I know you'll get into, but the whole thing it captured me right from the beginning, and it held on to me all the way to the end. And I can't wait to read Enchantra, and I'm so excited. I have to read a couple other books before I get into Enchantra. And the next book I have to read is Project Hail Mary.
Oh, you did tell me.
Yeah, I've been putting it off because it doesn't involve fantasy or romance. But I'm gonna read that and reward myself with Enchantra. So
okay, I like that.
But this book had me so fired up that I wanted to go right to Enchantra because I was so excited.
I know.
How about you? What was your star ratings?
So my star rating, I gave it a 4 out of 5. I don't know why sometimes I feel like a tough grader, but I feel like when a book sticks with me and I'm just like, wow, I was like really enamored by that. I feel it's only been a few books who has felt like a 5 out of 5.
I think in general, you are a very discerning grader.
Yeah.
I'm like 5 out of 5, 5 out of 5. Like I'll just pop off a 5 out of 5 anytime. I'm
Yeah.
riding on vibe, and you have a very discerning taste, and
Mm.
it's you always have such a thoughtful reason no, but, like,
Yeah.
there's always a reason why for
Mhm.
you, and I think,
I'm like,
honestly, I
"What's
need
wrong?"
to have that a little bit more. Like, I'm
But I feel like I remember saying one time, I was like, "I'm not a tough grader." But
lies.
I'm just like, I haven't rated a lot of books 5
Wait,
out of 5.
hold on. I'm just putting it together. Didn't you say that? And then the very next book we did was When the Moon Hatched, and
Yes,
you gave it
it
2
went downhill
stars.
from there. I feel bad because I'm like, I might need to reread it or something. I don't know.
Literally, you I wish we had a cut to, like, you're like, "I'm not a tough grader," and then right
Yeah,
to When the Moon Hatched. But again, you always have a reason, like, that
yeah,
for you, it never comes out of nowhere. There's
mm,
always you have a system in your head of how it
yeah.
pans out. So what lost the star for you in this
I
book?
think I think I feel like also because the book was like a 9-night type of thing of like the
Mm.
trials, I liked that Blackwell was already into her
Mm,
from the beginning, but I felt like maybe the romance was a little bit quick for me. I don't know.
okay.
I like a longing. I
Okay.
so yeah, I
Mm,
liked it. I enjoyed it. I was just like, it's not a book that I'm just like thinking about
mm,
for many times after
okay.
that, you
Alright,
know?
I think that's fair.
So
I like instant gratification, so as soon as he was obsessed with her, I was like, "Yes,
oh my
I'm
gosh,
into
yeah.
it."
I did rate it 4 out of 5 for chili peppers because yeah, the spice was good. I think, I think it was really good.
I think this is gonna be really shocking to you and everyone, but I gave it a 5 out of 5.
Let's get into the beginning of the book. So we have our main characters. FMC is Ophelia Grimm. So, like I mentioned a couple minutes ago, she is grieving her mother's death, and she's also a necromancer. So that is something within their family line of them being necromancers. And she does live with OCD. From the beginning of the book, you see some of her symptoms, some like
Mm,
a voice in her head that she calls the shadow voice that tells her negative things a lot of the times, or things that she has to do in order to be safe or in order for something bad not to happen. So we see that early on in the book. Then we have Blackwell.
mm,
I'm not gonna say his true name yet until we get later on into the
nope,
events.
not gonna say it.
So Blackwell is his name. He is a phantom. And then we have Genevieve Grimm, which is Ophelia's sister, who technically is kind of a lot of the plot in this situation. So Ophelia and Genevieve, their mother, right in the beginning of the book, was found dead at home.
I thought
I
that
was
was such a crazy start to a book.
right. That'll hook you in. Yeah.
Immediately had me.
Yeah.
Like, she's on the floor and they're having to do this, like, magic with there's blood and it's all
Yes.
it was, like, immediately like,
I thought it
"Whoa."
was so cool. And I
Yeah.
think right there, murder mystery, like that will hook anyone in, I
Mhm.
think. So she was found dead at home. I think it was like in the middle of the night, Ophelia found her,
Oh,
and
yeah.
there's like no explanation of how that happened. So Ophelia being the necromancer in the family, because Genevieve was like not for it, she wasn't for that vibe. She completes the ritual or a spell in order to help her mother's spirit cross over. When this spell is occurring, Ophelia's eyes turn a different color. It turns into this haunting icy blue color called Grim Blue, which is their last name of the family. So every woman in the Grimm family who accepted their magic receives that eye color.
Mm.
So I think with that ritual or spell, there's a time limit of probably mom crossing over, and then also Ophelia receiving her magic.
Oh, yeah.
There's something there that has to do with that. A few days later, two men from the bank show up at the Grimm house trying to collect a debt that's owed on the home, and it catches Ophi and Genevieve by surprise, air quotes.
Huge. You can't see the air quotes there, but I can. They're vigorous. Vigorous air
So
quotes.
Jenny reacts a little weirdly, and it's found later that her mother was cashing checks from a loan that she got on the home. And Ophelia then uncovers that a few checks were forged, and she believes that it was, like, her sister's handwriting because it's just
Mm-mm.
very strange, and I'm sure she can recognize her own sister's handwriting.
Mm.
So she confronts her on it, and Genevieve says that she handled it, other air quotes.
Huge air quotes.
What does "handled it" mean?
We don't know at that
Um,
point.
and then she runs away. She just, like,
They
disappears.
get in a fight, one
Yeah,
fight,
yeah.
and
She
Jenny's
just is
Jenny's gone.
so that was, kinda her mystery and now becoming the plot of the story of Jenny kinda being gone,
Mhm.
and Ophi, like, I think it's, like, the next morning she wakes up and Genevieve's stuff is not there and she's still not back, so she's definitely very concerned.
And I feel
Um
like what she does is immediately what you would do as a sibling.
Yeah.
I'm an older sister, I have a younger brother, so I don't have a sister, but if my brother and I got in a fight and he disappeared, the first thing I would do is rummage through his stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And she finds her diary, which is
Yes.
just chock full of information.
Yeah.
That's exact play by play what I would do.
Yeah.
I immediately.
I mean, I think that's, like, the best way to find out what someone's got on their mind, right? Is to look at
Mhm.
their diary and their room and rummage through the things.
Oh yeah.
So, Ophelia finds a flyer for the Phantasma coming to town.
Honestly, I think the author did such a nice job of bringing us into that world too. We
Yeah.
got enough information throughout to introduce us to a pretty
Mm.
complex idea. We're getting these nuggets throughout. We're learning as Ophi is learning about Phantasma and what it is and how it works.
So, she walks, like, to the Phantasma Cathedral, which is called, like, the Devil's Manor.
Mhm.
One of the nights, she's just, like, walking around. Again, she's doing something she's not supposed to do.
She's walking around at night and even and you see this so many times. Ophelia, what her mom said to her plays into how she acts,
Yeah.
and that was one of her mom's big things is you don't walk around after
Mm.
dark, you don't look into the darkness, and if the darkness talks to you, you certainly don't talk back to it.
Yeah.
And that's all running through Ophi's mind as
As she's
she's
doing it.
doing
Does it make sense? No.
no, but we're not gonna I don't I didn't mind how it turned out for her, so go for
Yes.
it, girl.
So she's just walking by to check it out, and then she speaks to, like, an apparition behind the gate. So again, she's doing something she's not supposed to do by
Mhm.
talking to something in the dark. I think she sees, like, eyes.
Oh, yeah.
So he says, "Go home. A house of devils is no place for an angel like you."
Oh my god.
So me, I'm already attached to whoever this ghost is.
First
Because
of all,
first of all, who are you and how can I get inside?
please help me to be closer to you.
Literally, and then Ophelia is like, she tries to ask how to set him free. I'm like,
Or like
girl.
help him. She's like, "Can I help you with something?" Which is so and this is something that I really like about Ophi. She
Yeah.
certainly has a soft side. There's
Yeah.
don't get it twisted. There's a darkness to her. There's stuff
Mhm.
going on. She will get her hands dirty and bloody and she won't shy away from the hard stuff of life, but she very much has a tenderness to her. And
Yeah.
what an interesting thing for your first instinct to be like, is there some way I can help you?
And I
Ugh.
think it's also probably because she's a necromancer and
Mhm.
practices, like, these, like, magical things.
Mhm.
So she probably has, like, relationships or deep connections or feelings for ghosts or spirits that need to pass on. I think that's
Yeah.
an element too where she's, like, thinking this ghost or apparition is, like, trapped here and wants to have him move on, so I think that's where it comes from.
She don't know who she's talking to.
Yeah, she does not know. So she's like, "How can I set you free?
What
Let me
hey,
know."
mysterious darkness being, what can he help you with?
And he says, "A heart and a key would set me free, but you should hope we do not meet again, angel."
Again, you're calling me angel. That's really messing with me, man. If you don't want me to talk to you or see you again.
Don't say nice things to
Yeah,
me.
don't talk nice to me if you're trying to get me to walk away.
Oh my gosh. So, a question for you. What were you thinking in this little mysterious scene?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so as soon as I like so there's two parts of me, right?
Mm.
I wanna make it very clear, and I've said this before, and I'll probably say it again, I'm risk averse. I would be the worst in a horror movie. If I hear a weird noise, I'm walking away.
Yeah.
If somebody tries to haunt me, I'm moving out. If I hear a creaking board, I'm not it's
Oh
none
my
of my
gosh.
business. I'm not gonna investigate it. I'm not gonna try to understand it. I have and I feel like I have a little bit of, like, intuition in some way, I don't know. I've
Mm,
walked into rooms before, felt like the energy was bad for no
really?
reason, and just walked out. Like, I will not. I won't.
Yeah.
I'm not the curiosity killed the cat girl. I really if something feels off to me,
Mm,
if and I don't understand, my brain's taking in so much that I'm not even perceiving. She's just trying to protect me. If she gets
yeah,
a weird feeling, I follow my gut
I
feeling
agree.
hard.
Yeah.
So, there's 2 parts, and the reason that I'm talking to you about this is because in real life, Katie, it would say, "Walk away and
Yeah.
don't look back." Because at this point, we don't I don't know if we understand fully what Genevieve's gotten into, and that would shift my perspective. If it's for family, that's a
Mm,
whole if it's for somebody else, it's a whole different thing.
yeah.
But if it's just some random voice in the night, don't. Just
It's
go
not a good
home.
idea.
Yeah, just walk home.
Yeah.
And the thing told you, "Don't talk to me. I hope we don't see each other again." Okay, cool. I
Yeah.
can make that happen. Let's not.
But he's whispering sweet little nothings in your ear.
Okay, here's the second part of me. Here's the second part of me, because I'm also a romanticy girly. I know what this moment means. I know exactly what's happening here.
Mm,
So, because I'm a reader and it's a romantical, and I know that,
yes.
my reader person is going, "Yes, yes, yes, get it, get it. He called you angel." You feel this, and it's always some mysterious pull.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
in every romantasy book, for some reason, I just feel a
It just
pull toward him. It
happens.
just happens. It's how life works. You just kind of get a mysterious pull toward the voice in the darkness, and it all works out fine.
Yeah.
So
It ends up being your love. I don't
I,
know.
that's those are the rules of romantasy. So because I know the romantasy rules,
Mm,
immediately into it, immediately say to myself, "You're gonna see that, we hear that voice again,
I agree.
and he called you angel." And so,
I was
so,
also fawning for that moment. I
oh
was like,
yeah, oh
yes,
yeah.
I love that.
So real life, Katie, run home.
Hard no.
Romantasy reader, Katie, I'm here for it. I'm into it. Obviously, he's gonna when she finally sees him, I know he's gonna be sexy.
Yeah.
I'm ready for whatever. I know he'll be back. So
He'll be back.
I'm excited, and I was like twiddling my thumbs just waiting for when we would see him again.
Okay. So, with Genevieve still gone with the wind, she decides to search her room like we discussed,
Mm.
and finds a letter that says along the lines. This is me being funny, but obviously she wrote a serious letter, but she said, "Girl, I'll be back in 2 weeks. XOXO."
She's
XOXO,
like, "Mind
gossip
your business."
girl.
She says, "Mind your business. I'll come back when I'm ready."
Yeah.
And Ophi, like any older sister would, says to herself, "I'm not taking that as an
Yeah.
answer. No way,
Yeah.
dude."
Yeah, so she like we mentioned earlier, she finds a journal with all the Phantasma flyers. And there's something that says find Gabriel. Who's Gabriel? I have
I
no
don't know.
idea.
I don't know.
So she deduces that her sister joined the Phantasma trials. So ultimately, that's what she's gonna end up trying to go do. So Ophelia joins Phantasma, which is 9 nights, 9 levels. She needs to pass in order to find her sister,
Mhm.
apparently.
And she tries to ask as she goes in there. She
Yeah.
says, "Is Genevieve?" She tries to talk to different people. "Have you seen this woman? Do you know
Yeah.
what she looks like?" All this stuff. Nobody will tell her.
Yeah.
Nobody will
'Cause yeah.
gratify that. They basically say you have to go through the first 7 nights before there's basically like 4 groups of contestants,
Mhm.
and you have to go through those first 7 nights before you can see the other contestants. So what's really striking, I think, is Ophi isn't even 100% sure that Genevieve is there. She's
Right.
pretty sure because the journal, she's got strong evidence, but she doesn't totally confirm. She can't confirm that before she goes, "Well, this is the best guess that I have. And if there's even a chance that my sister's here, I got to do it."
Yeah, so you know, in order to get into Phantasma, you need to give Phantasma your worst fear in which they use against you in the levels. So they're playing around in your head, they're looking at what you're scared of, and that gets used to whatever gets created in the levels that you do. So they explain all the rules and the disclaimers and how you're able to forfeit at any time. So I did like that they were very like communicative and like upfront with like these are the rules, you know, at any time if you don't want to do this anymore, you speak a certain thing and you're out.
Mhm. Yeah.
So,
Well, and I think that's what drives a lot of the tension for the
mm,
contestants is that you can leave.
right.
It's just the most of the folks that are in there are so dire to win for one reason or another that it's torturous. You see sort of various points across time. It's torturous for contestants to give up basically. And I put huge air quotes around give up because usually it's like they're about to die or something's
Yeah, it's life
happening.
or death situations
Yeah, you
here.
can die in these trials.
And that's a lot of the times that's the point. Like that's how
Yeah.
you got to get through. So she goes to her room and she finds a little ghost cat on her bed.
Poe.
Oh my goodness, how cute. And it's also very just strange, I guess. And you know, we'll see the role of Poe, the ghost cat, throughout the book. She's very curious about this cat, and the cat kind of lures her around and she follows it. I don't know, she's trying to catch him, I think, or something. She's just like,
She's
where are
at
you leading me
least
to?
well, and what's interesting is so she's got this pendant from her mom. So
Oh, that's right.
part of the ritual is she's got to take the pendant off her mom and put it on herself. And what you learn later is that the
Yes.
pendant's connected to her heart. She cannot live if she's not wearing the pendant, or her heart slows down and stops.
Mm.
So, but at this point, all you know is she has this pendant, and it sort of warms or beats
Yes.
when it's telling her like, "Oh, keep doing this or go this way or make this decision."
Yeah, it's
And
like her
so
compass.
yeah, and so the cat and the fucking locket, which I don't get, both get warm and like tell her to go behind this bookcase.
Mm.
So she's like, "All right, I'll follow you both into this dark
Oh
hallway."
my gosh. No
Huge mistake. Huge.
no type of like care about any danger lurking or anything like that.
Literally.
So it leads her to our Blackwell.
Mm.
So she
We can't totally regret it cuz
so she describes him as like a really tall, handsome man. So
mm,
Ophi is tall herself.
yeah.
She's around 5'11".
Oh yeah. Which I as a tall girl,
We
I
love the
love
representation.
honestly, if I
Yeah.
have to read one more book where they're like, "I'm 5'1" and so thin my ribs show and I have the waifish like
I'm so
lightness. I'm so tiny." Which here's the thing, none of that is
breakable.
bad. Like there's no
Yeah.
all bodies are good bodies. If you are 5'1" and tiny, I love that for you. Live your best.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear that body type every time I read a book.
It's every
It's ad nauseum.
and I feel like a lot of times like they make that because of like oh this like small weak person ultimately
Mhm.
is able to have this amazing power and more powerful than everyone else. So I'm really tired of that trope or
Yeah.
whatever
Oh
it
yeah.
is.
Well, and we love to see a height difference. And
Yeah.
here's the thing: I love a tall man. I really do.
Yeah.
As a tall woman, it just matches up
I
for me. I
agree.
like that. So I get it, but it's that whole visual of like the tiny girl with the giant man, and he could just throw her around, and that's awesome. And I love that. And it's for
Yeah.
folks who live that life. Power to you. Most of my friends are short. I love them. A shout out to all my short friends. I have nothing against you. And I just imagine reading 1,000 fantasy books and 800 of them are about, uh, let's flip the script, like a tall, big lady. And that's the only body type there is. It's like, let's get some variation here.
Yeah.
So I love that she's not this tiny, she's sharp, she's tall,
Yeah.
she's severe looking, which
Yeah.
I was into.
Yeah, I like that. So she describes him as being taller than her.
Mhm.
I think about 3 or something inches more. So maybe he's like
Like
6'2",
6'2", 6'3".
6'3", shocking white hair
Mhm.
and bright jewel green eyes.
Oh
So
yeah.
pretty intense looking.
Oh, yeah. He's and she says even more severe looking than her. So they are
Yeah.
an imposing looking
Mm.
couple. Tall and severe looking. And I'm into
Yeah.
that. And he saves her from there's like a dark beastie in that hallway. And
Mhm.
he just swoops in and helps her with it. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Just a little bit taller than me, just swooping in when there's a
Coming
dark
in, saving the
beastie.
day.
Yeah. I don't
Mm.
mind it. I don't mind it. For those who are like, she could save herself, she totally could, and she does in several
But
points.
do you want someone else to save you? Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Yeah. I
That's
I
the fairy
do
tale.
enjoy that. I do enjoy that. So, I was here for it. But also, like, what the fuck, Poe? Why are you leading me into this
I
dark,
wasn't
dangerous
into the cat. I wasn't
I
into the
see,
cat.
I was into the cat. I was into the idea of the cat. I knew
Mm.
the cat was gonna be tricksy in some way. It was like,
No.
little bastard."
Yeah, I think
Um
I think he gave, like, weird vibes, so I was like, "Mm."
Cat was giving cat vibes. And that's I have 2 cats. I love my cats,
Yeah.
but he was being a little sneaky sneak and
Had an ulterior motive, that's for
mhm,
sure.
Interesting you
Which
say
we'll find
that.
out.
Oh,
So, Blackwell, and, she uncovers that he's a phantom, which are really rare and the strongest of all, like, ghosts, apparitions, all the different types. So he's a phantom, and he's strong.
he's strong, girl. He's well, and what I like is he can become corporeal or he can get a little invisibly and like
Yeah,
see-throughy. So he can either you can either
yeah.
feel his presence physically,
Which is so
which becomes
interesting.
important later, or or he can disappear, but like you can hear his voice. He has a
Yeah.
lot of forms.
Which I thought that was interesting where I'm like, maybe that was a little bit of disconnect too, is like how do you have sex with a ghost or a phantom, but we see he can materialize
He,
himself.
you know what? Good on him. He can materialize, if you know what we
Of
mean.
course.
He materializes so well.
Yeah.
His materialization, strong,
Impeccable.
impeccable, a sizable materialization,
Mm,
a nigh on intimidating level of materialization
yeah.
of his body. D
Mm.
d d d d.
So we got him in the picture now, and like you mentioned, like there is this like monster
Mhm.
beast thing who like comes out of nowhere and is like chasing Ophi. So um she's able to magic up a random door in which we find out later that's called a whispering gate. So that helped her in the moment where she's able to just like fall through and escape pretty much from the monster.
Yeah, she's able to conjure doors and other things that other people can't, which
Yeah.
is part of what draws Blackwell to her.
Mhm.
He immediately locks on to the fact that she can manipulate this space
Yeah.
in a way that other people haven't been able to, which is helpful to him.
Yeah, and I think because she's so unaware of her magic or powers, I think there's a lot of discovering of what she's capable of doing, and that happens throughout in the book. But she was just like, "Yeah, I just like randomly brought up this door. I have no idea what it is." But
She's like, "Don't know
doesn't
how I did
everyone do that?
that." And Blackwell's like,
No, girl.
"No. No." And in fairness to her, she has no way of knowing that, you know? She
Yeah.
doesn't know what's happening, and what makes everything so tricky is that the Phantasma will produce what are called haunts
Mhm.
every here and again, just for shits and giggles, will
Yeah.
produce
So
these
messed up.
terrifying scenes. And so not only is Blackwell kind of offering to help her through these trials, but
Mm.
he disbands some of these haunts that all the contestants are having to deal with. At one point, it like rains blood. At
Oh,
one
I
point,
loved that scene.
that
I was like, "I'm here for
scene.
that."
If you can't tell by our tones of voice, there was something happening before
Something
it started
occurred.
raining blood, and our girl Ophi, you know, stuff's happening, and then
Yeah.
it starts raining blood, and Blackwell is like, "Oh, let me fix it," and
Mm.
Ophi says, "Nah, let's just finish what we started here." and we'll worry about the blood later.
Oh, that
It
was an
made
amazing scene. You know what would have
oh,
made it better?
what?
If they were vampires. I think that's my thing where I'm like,
You're like, you're so close to vampire.
if it was a vampire story, I think that's why I love Serpent of the Wings of Night. That
Mhm.
one was a 5-star for me. That
Oh,
one
yeah.
stuck with me. I think I just have this love of vampires where anything that has to do with vampires, immediately everything
5
about
stars
me.
immediately.
So that blood like scene,
Mhm.
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It was providing.
It was doing
And
something
it
for
was a
me.
moment where Ophi was really showing how like badass she
Yeah.
is.
She was into it.
She didn't give one single fuck, and
Mm.
she just keep it on. She says, "Carry on, soldier,"
Oh my
and they
goodness.
did. And he cleaned up after, but she
Yeah.
would not be deterred. She would not be deterred.
Oh, that was amazing. So, after she kind of conjures up that door whispering gate, Blackwell is just like very surprised and intrigued by that. So he offers her a blood bargain, or blood oath, there's different names for these things, to help Ophi pass the first 7 levels to find her sister. So he's like, I can get you through the first 7 levels to see Genevieve's kind of situation. And part of the way that Blackwell can help her is she can call him up at any time. Beep beep beep.
Beep, 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 do, do, do.
So she says his name 3 times and he'll appear. And I love that because I love Beetlejuice. It reminded me of that.
Okay, so confession, I have never seen the full Beetlejuice movie.
Oh,
I
not even the first one or the second one?
I've okay, please don't hate me, but
How?
I saw a good chunk of it, about an hour,
Okay.
I would say, or maybe an hour
Okay.
and 15 minutes, and then I fell asleep.
Oh my goodness.
I was okay, it had nothing to do with the movie itself. I was having a good time, but I was very sleepy, and I just
It doesn't have a lot of stuff going on. It is a slow movie, but it's like one of
yeah.
those just like cult classics.
That's the thing, and that so my friend who's very into Halloween, we were doing a pair costume, and she was Beetlejuice, and I was Winona Ryder with the
Yeah.
camera.
Yeah. Oh my
And which I can
gosh.
I think you'll really like the picture of me as her
Yeah.
character. But and she said, "We have to watch Beetlejuice before we show up to this Halloween party as this.
Oh my
You cannot show up
gosh.
unawares." So she had me watch the movie, and I fell asleep 3/4 of the way through, and I missed the end.
Oh my
So
gosh.
she was not she was very patient with me, but she
Mm.
basically said, "You missed
The
the
thing.
whole action of the end." And I said, "I think I've seen enough for now."
You're
But
like, I'm in
I think
character.
I
It's
got
okay.
I got enough to work with here. And I'll go back to it.
Okay.
Maybe in during Halloween time, you and I can sit
Yes.
down and watch it. I'll make sure to sip some coffee while I watch and really lock
And
in.
then we have to watch the second one, which is also really good. I saw it in theaters.
I'll take
I
your word
have
for it.
I think I have more than one Beetlejuice shirt, but
Okay. Yeah, I'm
I
here for
I
it.
love Beetlejuice
You
so
just
much.
don't let me fall asleep.
Oh my gosh. So
Anyway.
it reminded me of that where she could call his name Blackwell, 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 and he'll appear just like
Mhm.
Beetlejuice. So now we're gonna get into the 9 trials of Phantasma. So we're gonna go and describe what each trial is called, and also it kind of corresponds with like the nights.
Mm,
So the things that are occurring in each of these trials or nights, that's what's going on most of the time.
yeah.
So we'll talk about the name of the trial, the devil that is involved in this, who kind of hosts it. They have a theme, a little riddle. It's all very I like that it was all very like organized.
I liked, because it is very scary, especially I was scared at the beginning of the book when it first started. I was thrown along with Ophelia. Me and Ophelia we were scared, and we were like, "What's happening?" But I liked Blackwell's perspective when Ophi runs into something she doesn't understand. Blackwell's like, "Listen, this is a part of the games. The devils get bored and they just throw stuff in there for no reason." So it
He helps her calm
he
down.
helps her calm down because he's like, "Oh yeah, this is the one haunt with the spiders and the snakes." And she
Oh my
obviously like,
gosh.
"Okay, if you say so." But you can tell that behind the scenes there's some
Mm.
paper shuffling and like organization elements
They're, like,
that
getting all
yeah,
the it re like, if you've ever been into one of those, like, escape rooms, it's probably something
I
like that.
haven't. I have not
You've
done an
never done an
escape.
escape room?
Okay, we gotta have a day, we watch Beetlejuice, to both of them,
Yeah.
and then we'll go
We
to
gotta do a
escape room.
scary escape room.
Oh, no.
Oh,
I
yeah, you
know
don't like scary stuff.
okay, as long as
Maybe,
you're
like, a
okay with
murder
me being like a
mystery.
noodle, I'll do like, I'll go into haunted houses and stuff, but I have
Mhm.
this thing, I can't be the first or last person 'cause
I like being a middle person
oh, I'm the
too.
middle person, but also the person in front of me. So, just so y'all know, like, I am a tall, big woman, like, and I go to the gym. I'm very strong for my build,
Mm.
and I will and this is not knowingly,
Oh my
I
gosh.
but when I get scared, I will just wrap my arms around the person in front of me
And squeeze them
and
to death.
no, and just throw them in front of whatever's
Oh
trying to
my
get me.
gosh.
I'll just, like, use them as a shield, and I don't even know I'm doing it.
That's your
My
protection. You'd
poor
survive, I think, in any of these books.
oh, I it makes me a target because they see
Oh.
that
You
I'm
can't show
getting
them fear.
scared. That's the thing.
Oh my
Everyone else
gosh.
is staying cool and calm and collected. I'm not.
Oh
And
my
so
gosh.
I'm I try to appease them. I'll like they'll like come up to me and get in my face and I'll be like, "You're doing so good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you." Like I'll just be like, "You're doing a great job. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you. Bye." Like
You'd have a great time
uh
in Halloween Horror Nights in
I
Orlando.
don't
I
know.
love to go there. It's in
I
Universal.
Okay, but I think other people have a great time watching me do this. I don't think like I get very scared.
But
So
it's not real.
sure. So, but I
You're
say
like,
all
"It's
of
real to
it
me."
is to me, it's very it gets me all wound up. So
Mm.
here's the thing, I'll go to a haunty thing with you, but just know that I will wrap my arms around you and
I'm the
use you as a
shield.
human shield. So you need to know what you're signing up for
Mm. We need
when we go
someone
in
else
there.
in the front.
Yeah, yeah. So if you're not willing to be the shield, we gotta find a shield,
Oh
an
my
unknowing shield.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm gonna say about
Okay.
that.
We'll scout. We'll scout and see who can be this human shield for both of us.
Mhm,
And
yes.
we'll have a great time, but I think that would be
And
fun.
we're a couple of tall ladies, so
Yeah,
we
yeah.
need
Yeah, so it has to be someone I feel like a short person would go great with this, you know?
find one of those waifish 5'1" romanticy girlies.
Yes,
Yeah.
who's, like, frail, but also very strong and
Yeah, can
powerful.
wield a giant sword, but also looks like they have little sticks for arms. If that description fits you,
Please
please
comment down
contact
below.
us. You can have the unique opportunity to go to a haunted house with
Yeah.
Yarlin and I.
Yeah.
I know we're making it sound enticing, so I'm excited.
Mhm. So, okay, the first night trial or level, it is called levels actually. So,
Mhm.
the first one is described as or the name is called Limbo. So, the devil who kind of organizes this one is called Zell. The theme is basically isolation, indecision. You're kind of in limbo when you think about that. It's like the in between in the ghost world and in the real life world. If you've like read or like watched any other ghost movies or shows, limbo is kind of the in between.
Mm.
So the riddle that the devil says is in deepening light where senses fade, a labyrinth vast, a daunting maze. No sight, no sound, no touch to guide. Navigate true or be crushed inside.
Oof.
Ooh.
Honestly, the riddles stressed me out. I
Yeah,
would
they're
be the
pretty cool.
contestant that's trying to memorize it, and I'm like, "I have to remember every part of this so I can
Let me
win."
write this down.
Yeah, oh, and someone tries to, and
Someone
they can't.
tries.
I
No,
would
because
be
the words start disappearing when you write them down, I think.
uh-huh, yep, that would be me, though. when I figured out there was riddles, I'd be
Mm.
trying to write it down. I'd be like, "Can I write it on my arm? Can
Yeah.
I
We
can
gotta
I"
prison break it and kinda tattoo it on us.
literally memento, I don't like, whatever. Can I bring my phone and take a picture? I know this is turn of
Yes. I
century
mean,
New
yeah.
Orleans, but
Our
I
phone's not
just
allowed
can
or
we not? I 'Cause it would very much stress me out. I'd be like, "I don't remember the other half of the
Yeah.
riddle, and I'm gonna lose because of it."
So that was the riddle, and Ophi is obviously very confused. She's just like, "What's going on?" So when the environment happens, it's like kind of like a maze that disorients and isolates you on purpose.
Mm.
The trial tests their ability to make decisions under pressure. Ophi has a person who's also in this contest. His name is Cade. The
Oh,
worst.
he is just a villain. Like,
He is a villain.
he's
He's a hater.
one-dimensional bad guy.
Mm,
Just f start to finish, top to bottom,
yeah.
every shitty, selfish instinct that you can have, Cade has. Except for one weird moment at the end where he's protective of his cousin. But other than that, just
He has no, like, other like, he can't just be a good person. But
well, and I think his character is designed to be a foil for her.
mm,
His job in the arc of the story is to be the bad guy.
yeah.
He drives up the stakes of every game,
That's
which he
true.
does his job, and that's the thing. He's plays a character for whom you can easily hate
Mm,
and not feel bad about it really. And you if the wrong thing can be done, he will do it, and you know that, and he lives
yeah.
up to it throughout the story.
And I think him being like, he already created himself to be the villain right in the beginning of the trials or the
Mhm.
levels, so you already know that, he's just not a great person. So he was kind of being rude to her, and he grabbed her arm, and then her arm disappeared or it became invisible.
Oh, yeah.
So that set him off, and he was like, "What are you?" So he
Mhm.
thought that she was a devil and
Mhm.
tried to kill her.
Mhm.
So obviously she conjured up Blackwell and he came and saved her.
Is this the part where Cade smacks her in the face? Or is that later?
I think that's late.
Okay.
No,
I
actually that was this time because in the next one, Blackwell notices a busted lip. So yeah, Cade
which
kind of beats her up a little bit, which is not nice.
Mhm.
And like for literally no reason. Like,
And everybody once he smacks her and her lip splits,
yeah.
everyone goes, "Oh, she bleeds red. She's a human."
Yep.
Cade doesn't accept that, but what I really appreciated about the split lip was the moment that came after
Mm.
where Blackwell said, and I quote, "Who did this to you?"
Ugh. We love that. The protective
Mm.
male.
And I feel like she played it off the author wrote this moment so well, because Ophelia doesn't really track it at first. She's kinda like, who cares?
Yeah.
Whatever. I've got this other thing on my mind." And Blackwell says, "Who did this to you?" He's like, "It matters
Yeah.
to me. I
Mhm.
need to protect you." And then he goes and does some shit to Cade that we never
Yeah,
find
I
out.
think he just, like, beats him up.
He comes back covered in Cade's blood.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened,
Mm.
but
And when you think about it, though, again, like, for his own benefit, he has to protect Ophi in order to be set free, right? So, again,
sure.
it's for convenience. I wasn't too into it. But
I don't know, man.
I did like the "Who did this to you," though.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit more for Blackwell even then. And I'm not saying that he was in
Mm.
absolute love with her at this point,
'Cause he didn't
but
express much.
from the beginning, he's drawn in
Mm.
to her in a way. They both are, and they're both denying it or
They're both hot,
whatever.
you know?
Oh, yeah. Tall, hot people just
They'll
being,
come together at some
yeah,
point.
two single, tall, hot people who just happen to need to be in a contract together, and
Mm.
he needs to protect her.
Yeah.
He could have not beat up Cade.
True.
That he didn't
He could have been like,
need to do
You
that.
need to, like, toughen up next time."
Yeah, or he could have, he could have spooked Cade a little bit or done something
Yeah, but
else,
he did a lot.
but
Mm.
he did more than he had to. I'm convinced. I'm
Okay,
convinced.
okay. So, these trials and levels, like, I feel like they end pretty quickly. Like, the
Mm.
book is very, like, fast-paced, action-packed, so I like that about it.
Mm.
So, next day, Level 2 is lust.
Yes,
Ooh.
which I bet you Vampire Queen
Mm.
were into.
Yep, you already know. I think this was the most, like, impactful one for me. So the devil is called Dreama. The theme is desire and temptation, of course.
Mm.
The riddle is, in a realm of desire, illusions enthrall contestants. Beware lest you succumb to their call amongst the lustful vices. You must pick only one when the first bell tolls. The trial has begun before the fourth chime. The truth you must find, and the key to your freedom beneath a bed lies.
See, stressful. Stressful how long that riddle is. That riddle is too long.
You're like, what? Bed
Help,
what?
help, help. My mind would be swirling. I'd be like, there's a bed? What?
Yeah, so the contestants are kind of lured into a seductive environment where their deepest desires are manifested. So you have people kind of hooking up and being all like vampire-y. Like there are
Well,
vampires.
and they bring you a bunch of goblets and they say,
Yes.
which pick which
Pick your
one.
color.
She picks red, and her cup is bloodlust. And
Mm.
so all these vampires are getting all sexy everywhere, but also murdery everywhere.
Yeah.
There are these like aerial performers that
Oh,
get murdered to feed the frenzy.
so
But
cool.
Ophi is so filled with lust just in general that she kind
She's
of
having a
doesn't
great
track.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some random woman comes up behind her and is like, let me have a taste. And
Yeah.
Ophi almost falls for that.
So it's very tricky, and I think obviously like once you like drink a random liquid, yeah, you're gonna have some effects. So so she is able to escape being consumed by vampires, and she's able to kind of like not succumb to
Yeah.
those
Well,
things.
and the moment that really got me here
Mm.
was someone pretending to be Blackwell walks in.
Yes.
So she's about to get like nibbled on by this random woman, and pretend Blackwell comes up and says, "Come with me. This is a trick." Da 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 da.
Uh-huh.
But then they start kind of getting saucy and sensual.
Mhm.
And what I loved about this is that she figures out that it's not Blackwell because the pretend Blackwell calls her sweetheart.
Right, and that's not her
And she goes,
nickname.
I never get called sweetheart by you. And all of a sudden she recognizes the way that fake Blackwell is acting is
Mhm.
not, she doesn't feel the same warmth. It's like sharper and
Like
harder and
cold.
colder.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all of a sudden she's kind of coming out of it and
Mhm.
realizing, oh, wait a second, this is not
Yeah.
Blackwell. And there's something about that for me of like, you know him already. You know him
Yeah,
enough
it's
already
cute.
to sense that it's not him. I was into that.
So then, she was able to get out of that, like you explained, and then she actually conjured up the real Blackwell,
Mhm.
and, he comes to save her. Of course, that's gonna be the thing. Every level, he's gonna come to save her.
Which I don't mind. I'm
Yeah.
100%. Listen, I'm an independent woman. I run my life and
Mhm.
whatever. It's not that I need saving. It's that I really like it.
I
You
think
know?
I
That I enjoy it here and there.
and I think it's nice
Yeah, it's
sometimes.
nice to be taken care of.
Mm. So, I think, he's like asking her if she's okay, and then he notices the busted lip.
Oh, this is busted lip
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Okay. Then he goes
So,
and
and then she tells
saves
him,
Cade.
because she was just like, nah, it's whatever, like, don't worry about it. And then she ends up telling him that Cade did that to her, and he got protective and went to beat his ass up.
Yeah, and
As
again,
what we assume.
we never find out
Yeah.
exactly what he did to Cade. Also, it does create problems later on. I
Yeah.
will say, not the solution. Didn't create
Mm.
a solution. It created a little bit more in the way of problems, but
Yeah.
worth it.
He should have just scared him, maybe not, like, physically hurt him, but,
Mm.
it is what it is. He was all
No,
fired up.
no regrets.
No regrets.
No regrets.
He's
Not even one
protecting his
letter.
woman. Um, so that level is done and dusted. We are in level 3, which is greed.
Mm.
The devil is called Devon, which is funny.
Well, and I liked, so if you noticed, some of the devils were she, her.
Mm.
Some devils were he, him.
Mhm.
Devin and a couple others were they, them.
Mm.
They were gender expansive or gender nonconforming.
Oh.
And it wasn't made a big deal. There wasn't a huge,
I didn't
like,
even really, like, notice, like,
I
what.
tracked it, and I
Oh.
thought that was a cool move on, the author's part because
Yeah.
I think in a fantastical world, who's to say that there would only be, certain gender identities, but
Mhm.
also she didn't make a big deal about it. She kinda just put it in there as built it in as a part of the world,
Yeah.
and you don't see that. I've seen one other author, Katie Robert,
Oh,
do
you do
that
like
for
Katie.
I do. I feel like I have to plug at least at one time every episode, but,
Yeah.
um, Katie Roberts, another one who would just sort of put gender expansive identities into stuff and not make it this huge deal. It's
Yeah.
just a part of the world. And so when I saw, I just tracked that. I was like, "Oh,
And I
hey,
think
Devin."
that's when it comes across as, like, you're not trying to do too much or make such an effort,
Mm.
like, this should be an effortless thing just as if it was, like, a regular man or a woman, you know?
Yeah,
So I think
exactly.
that comes to be more just authentic, I
Mm.
think, so.
Well, and I think it's a choice on the author's part to say, this
Mhm.
is just a part of the world. We're not gonna, this, I'm not, and I think there are books, there are places where you can highlight how the gender expansive experience and really make that
Yeah.
a part of the book and the world. And I think there's a place for that. I also think there's a place for just, and it's the same, it's similar to me as like body representation. Like,
Right.
just put tall and short and fat and thin and, all kind of people in your books and make it a world where anybody can see themselves represented. And it doesn't have to be this like huge statement, but it in and of itself, by not making it a big thing, it's kind of a big thing in my
Mhm.
mind. So,
Yeah. So, obviously with greed, the theme is materialism and envy. So the riddle for this one is above a fiery abyss, your gilded cage must rise, but when it does, others will dive. Golden weights around your chains, greed's alluring, a song, a dangerous game. A sea of temptation, a choice to unfold. Decide if your life is worth its weight in gold.
dun dun dun.
So I already kind of like imagined that gilded cage, like.
I had a tough time picturing what this exactly
Really?
looked like. I I know this is not right, but I pictured because it said there were things dug in a wall and
Uh.
you had to like reach through the cage. So I imagined her dragging her own cage up the side of the wall and I knew that wasn't right, but
Mm.
I know that there was a cage and a weight
Yeah,
and
there's some type of level system or something like
yeah,
that you gotta.
it was complex.
It was complex and it
I just
just.
rolled with it.
Yeah.
I
I'm trying to imagine what it reminds me, like, I know it was a movie, I can't remember if it was, like, a Lord of the Rings movie. I just imagined, like,
I
a big
pictured
pit of lava
okay.
and yeah,
I
the
pictured
cages.
do you ever watch, I don't even remember which Pirates of the Caribbean it was, but they were
Mhm.
in this like basically cage hanging over a big abyss, I think, but it was made of
Oh.
like branches maybe. I don't know. I pictured a mixture of that and then have you read the Guild series, the Plated
Mm,
Prisoner
I haven't
series?
yet.
Well, we
Is it
got to get into
similar
that.
to
Oh
that?
my god, I love that series.
Mm,
But I pictured that sort of, it's got in the those books there's a rich golden gilded cage that
yeah,
she's in. Hers is much larger, but I pictured that level of finery but over a
right.
pit like in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh,
Had a little
okay.
mix and but also a dark cliff. See, this is why I couldn't it,
We got a lot of different images going on.
it was swirling.
So this one pretty much is a cages, like all the contestants are in these cages hanging above like a large pit of lava. So they're tempted with riches and power, so it this challenge tests their ability to resist their material gain. And the challenge is you have to create like a pulley system to lift your cage, but that will lower the other contestants.
Yes, and what
So.
I thought was really interesting is each weight is gold, and
Mm.
so you have to pull the weight out of the cliff, and then you have to hang it on this pulley system, and it pulls
Yeah.
you up. And the faster you can get to the top, the quicker you're going to get to safety. The
Yeah.
more but you also can keep the rings. You can keep these weights and put
Mm.
them on the floor of your cage and keep them forever. You can keep that amount of gold
Yeah.
forever. So the temptation is here, do I take all the weights, and as I take them, I just put them on the pulley and get myself out of here as fast as I can?
Right.
Or do I keep one or two of these on the side?
Yeah.
The issue is, if you decide to keep any of them, if you drop further than other folks do. So you see, I thought this was really cool. You saw the difference between how um Ophi handles this. She's not keeping any rings. She just wants to get out of here.
Right.
Cade has rings sitting
Of
at the bottom of
course.
his yeah, of course, Cade
This
would.
guy.
He's got rings sitting at the bottom of his cage, but it also means when his cage drops, it really drops. I
Mm.
mean, he survives it, but
Yeah.
it's you can see the differences between them there.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a quick situation where she conjures up Blackwell and he is able to tell her what to do, pretty
Yep.
much of like, oh, you need to do this and that, whatever. So they kind of get out of it.
Yeah, well, and she burns her hand at one point. I also liked this, and he's so encouraging to her as he's
Mm.
like, "You can do this just a little bit further. You're doing so well."
Yeah.
And she really responds to encouragement. She's not the only one, but I'm just saying, she as a character responds to
Yeah.
encouragement, and he does a really nice job. He's like, and at one
He's like, you
point,
go, girl.
yeah, well, and at one point, and I don't remember if it was this trial or something else, or I think it might have been.
Was this one?
She basically says to him, "You really got me through that." And he said, "No, you got you through that. I was there to encourage you, but you're
Mm.
the one that had to actually do the thing."
Maybe it was this one. I can't recall.
Mm, I just I really like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. So he got her through that, and there is a little side quest going on.
Yes, always.
So Ophelia and Blackwell kind of come up with this idea of wanting to look up the list of the contestants of Phantasma to see who Gabriel is.
Mm,
And to see maybe if Genevieve's name on there. So she is able to then like Blackwell makes a deal with some other devil.
Jasper, I think his name was.
Jasper?
I pulled that. I don't even know where from. Must have been
Mm.
all that practice I've been doing with the War of Lost Heart series.
Yes, all those name rememberings.
I'll be that name remembering out there.
Okay, so Jasper came in and
Watch it not be Jasper. Watch it be a totally different name. And I'm like, yeah, I got this, and I don't.
The
But
name sounds
I do think
vaguely
it's
like he was like talked about a lot.
yeah.
So
I think it was Jasper.
so Blackwell kind of has to like, owe him something probably to get this list. And then Ophi can read that she finds a Gabriel White and guess who? Tessie Grimm, which is her mom.
Yeah. Oh, and what was so important about this is that Blackwell had found those names and didn't tell Ophi because she
Uh-huh.
was going into the trial. He didn't want to freak her out. He was going to tell her after. But then,
Yeah.
does Sinclair, is this when we meet Sinclair, or is it
Sin
Jasper who tells, maybe it's Jasper who tells her,
Jasper.
who goes, ask him what's on page 882 or
Yeah,
whatever.
because Sinclair comes later. But
Yeah, so Jasper says, puts a little nugget of
mm,
knowledge in her ear, says, why don't you ask him where that's at?
yeah.
She goes to him and says, what's on page 882? He tries to be like, I'm sorry, I'm
Ooh.
sorry, I'm sorry. She finds the name,
Yeah.
and it causes a rift for a little bit between
Of course, because it's like kind of a lack of trust and,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So, that is something that's on their mind now. And now we're in level 4, which is gluttony and devil Jasper. Here he comes.
What up? And he has a third eye.
Oh,
that,
I
but
don't remember that.
Oh, and sometimes it looks at Ophi and she doesn't like it.
Ooh,
What's
it is
that?
creepy.
That's it. Yeah, to have a eye that on your forehead that opens. Yeah, and then sometimes it's closed. She doesn't,
Oh.
and he's always whistling little tunes, jazz tunes, as he's walking around. He's kind of a creepy dude.
Oh my god. The fact that you remember those details, I don't remember that, but okay. So
I don't know.
He's the gluttony devil here. The theme is obviously like overindulgence, excess. The riddle in this one is is a deadly game unfurls upon a twisted board. Watch every step you take, or your fate will be untoward. To gain to the upper hand, levels are in play, but be careful which you choose. The pendulum swings both ways. Dun dun dun.
Dun, 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 dun.
So the temptations are, there's another part. Temptations and numbers don't overcount forward or backward a single key to get out. My bad. That was the
Do
last
you see
part.
how long these
This long as hell.
riddles are? You see how difficult that would be to remember all that?
So we can kind of deduce that there's going to be some type of board and maybe like levels or things that they have to do, and a swinging pendulum. Where does
Yeah.
that come in?
Do you know what I pictured a little bit?
What?
Was in Harry Potter, when they play the giant chess
Yes.
game?
Yep.
That's where I started in my mind. And then once the swinging.
He's gonna sacrifice himself.
No, Ron, no.
No.
Sure, get that stone and not.
Oh my gosh. I am such a Potterhead. I love
Oh
Harry
my
Potter so
gosh.
much.
I I grew up on Harry Potter, and I really do like Harry Potter a lot. I don't like what J.K. Rowling has come to represent, so I have some misgivings about it, but I don't think that changes the fact that
Oh,
I grew
no.
up on it. Like
Yeah.
it's in I used to read it annually. Like it's indelible in
Yep.
some ways for me,
I
but
feel like it's definitely a part of a ritual that I have of like Halloween time and Christmas time is
Oh.
Harry Potter time.
yeah.
My Christmas tree is always Harry Potter themed.
Yeah.
Call me a millennial. I don't care.
Well, and that's I think it's really hard, like, and to be very clear, what J.K. Rowling's doing is awful. I don't agree with her, and many of the actors who were in the movies don't agree with her and have said that publicly, and it's
Yeah.
not good. It's not good what it all represent. What she has come to represent, and it doesn't replace a whole childhood growing up
Yeah.
on something. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
those connections are hard to break. So it's yeah. I
Yeah.
could recite, I think, most of those movies.
For sure.
By heart.
But yeah, I did imagine like the chess scene.
I started there, and then the blood pendulums started going, and I was like,
that's
"Oh, we're
totally
not on a
different.
train."
No, it's not Harry Potter.
Harry and Hermione and Ron are not here. We're not. This is a
No.
totally different.
They definitely are not.
We're in a different scene.
So basically, this trial presents an environment filled with abundance, testing contestants to have like restraint and self control. So, for the restraint, all the contestants have iron collars around their neck, which is funny because Blackwell made a comment before.
Kinky.
And I think he was kind of like letting her know a little bit about what these trials were about early on. He was like, there's a bit with collars and chains. You wouldn't happen to enjoy being choked, would you?
That's what I'm saying. He makes it a little.
He adds a little sexual.
He makes it a little
part.
slutty, and then you get in there, it's not slutty.
Yeah, no,
it's like
it's
terribly
very
violent
intense.
and bad.
So basically they have all these iron, each person has an iron collar and chains connected, and one wrong move to grab the gold bars and a swinging blade appears. So you're tempted to grab a gold bar, and this swinging pendulum blade is coming, and it's gonna kill people for sure.
This was another one. This felt a little bit like the cages to me, where I didn't quite understand. I knew that like you stepped on certain parts and the tile went down, and then that meant blades for other people, and then there were two levers. There was an X one and a plus one.
It was definitely, I think it needed to be explained a little bit more. And again, I think the fast-pacedness of these levels and maybe needed a little bit more explanation because there's a lot of things going on.
I either need them to explain it more or
Less.
I need that. I got just enough to be to know that there's a checkerboard of chaos with blades flying around. There's levers and sort of a perimeter that you're getting to, and you can either deliver like help or hindrance to people with these levers. Outside of that, I couldn't. It all sort of is a mesh of bloody weirdness in my mind,
and I'm sure for them too, because every day they're like going through a new
there's Poor, like, just these contestants. I mean, again, they signed up. It's,
And you can leave at any
whatever.
time.
And you can forfeit.
Yeah.
And it was a lot.
It was a lot.
And you never get time to rest. Except for Ophi, who now has Blackwell, and Blackwell just gets rid of the haunts.
Which, how awesome is that?
Even for that, like, let's say that Blackwell was not attractive and that there was no spark between them and that they were just platonically friends, would still get on board. If you could make those haunts go away, I don't care who you are. If you help me win this competition, we're doing
whatever you want.
Yeah, at this point, whatever you need. It does help that he's tall and hot. It does. Yeah. That really, really helps a lot for me personally as the reader.
Because if you want to cope with the dangers in any certain way,
in a particular fashion,
that you could call upon someone out of any time.
If you could just release some tension and a nondescript.
I can think of a couple ways.
Yeah. They explore the options, and I think they could explore even more options. I had some ideas, and
we're probably thinking about the same thing, but I'm like, why weren't other devils involved? But I don't think we got a description of what the other ones look like. So, but I thought about that. I was like, why don't y'all just have a party?
Let's call it that. A party.
Redo the blood scene. How about that? That would have had me.
Redo the vampire scene, except it really is sexy this time.
Yeah, it had so much potential.
Yeah, it did. I do ultimately like that Blackwell, and I like their possessiveness of each other.
Yeah.
They both get jealous at one point, and I like that. But we also do appreciate a why choose adventure where you just get like a reverse harem or some.
I have yet to read a book about that.
Oh
yeah,
good heavens! I have some mafia romance books I could proffer you.
Yes, I need to.
Anyway, we're getting carried away. We're like
already thinking of like the best scenario of how this can go.
Listen, we could write a delicious fanfic about this.
Oh, I'm sure we will. So basically they need to get through the swinging blades and they have the option of pulling a level. Why did I say level? Lever. to give themselves an advantage or give someone else a disadvantage. So like you were mentioning. So Eric, one of the contestants, tried to get her killed and he ended up getting sliced up.
Yeah, he got
messed
absolutely up. Like, I think sliced in half maybe. Like he got murdered by this house.
And I think they all turn on each other and it's a very intense.
Eric's in cahoots with Cade. As soon as you're in cahoots with Cade,
that's the worst.
I gotta focus on me. I gotta worry about me.
He reminds me, I mean, maybe I talk about Fourth Wing too much, but he reminds me of Jack Barlow.
Oh yeah,
just some guy who just is always mean
100%.
And like for no reason.
Yeah, no,
villain.
They serve the same purpose because there are villains both in Fourth Wing and in this. There are people in these books who are villainous.
Yes,
but there's a grayness to it. There's like I kind of hate what you're doing sometimes, but I really like what you're doing sometimes.
Yeah,
but each book, you need your just bad guy foil dude that makes, or woman or person that makes the plot higher stakes. Jack Barlow, Cade.
Yeah.
I feel like in Hunger Games, in each of the Hunger Games, there's always just this bad figure.
The big blonde guy. I forget his name in Hunger Games.
I can picture the face. Yeah. He's like the Cade.
He's in the daunting part or whatever.
Yeah.
Or am I thinking of Divergent?
No. The person I'm picturing is in Hunger Games, and he's big. He has short, sort of blondish hair.
But the name I just said, Daunting, I think that's Divergent.
Dauntless.
That's Divergent. Okay, we're mixing up.
Yeah,
the dystopian.
There is a bad guy in Dauntless too.
Yeah,
he's maybe his name is Eric.
We have to look that up.
We are in a swirl of our own
series,
memories.
By the way, I love those movies. They're so awesome. So we got through the gluttony And now we're in level 5. This one is called Wrath. Ooh.
Ooh.
So this devil,
Uh, oh.
her name is Rhea. Is
Mhm.
that how you would pronounce
I
it?
pronounced it in my head as Rhea, yeah.
Rhea. So the theme is anger and violence. They had no riddle in this one, which I thought was confusing.
I would have loved that. I would have been like, first time, no riddle, thank
I
you.
literally went back through the pages like a madman. I'm like, "Wait, where's the
Where's the
riddle?"
riddle?
Yeah, so there's no riddle in this one. It kind of just goes right into it. So the contestants face a trial where their anger is manipulated,
Mhm.
leading them to have like violent confrontations. So, Sinclair is when this is when he shows up.
Sinclair,
Mm.
you little bastard.
So he comes around before the level starts, or maybe that is part of the level, who knows?
No, I
S-
think maybe it's before it's like right before it
right
starts.
before, yes,
Very
yes.
purposefully
Mm,
right
yes.
before it starts. Or a
So
few hours before it starts.
So he comes in and he tries to seduce Ophelia to get her to forfeit the game because he doesn't want Blackwell to be free. So he kind of gives her a little bit of a backstory of, and she's like, why do you hate him so much? Or like, what do you guys have going on? So he tells her some details about how he got in here. But she doesn't make the connection that Blackwell is Salem, which is the prince of
And I
devils.
don't know if he calls him Salem at that point. I think it's like Sinestris.
I wrote it down somewhere. It's Salemstrius. Salemstrius. I
Sinestris.
wrote it down in his level. Salamastrius.
Oh,
That's his true name, which
whew,
many people cannot or like don't know, and like that's
they're
how
not
you,
allowed to say it.
because that's how
That's
you
right.
have the power over the
Mm,
devil or the demon.
okay.
So he's just known as Blackwell, but I think
Mm.
there's some type of contract where Sinclair cannot tell the details about, you
He could
know,
say the name, but not the sort
the
of the
reasoning
full
and
nature of things.
yeah, so he's kind of held back by some type of like cease and desist or something, like one of those
Some
things,
very
an
magical,
NDA.
an ironclad magical NDA was signed that day.
So, he plays a trick on her and hypnotizes her into a fantasy of her because he's like, let me show you something, let
Like,
me
tell me something like
that you wish to have.
innocuous that you
Yeah.
would like to do. It's just for fun, no cost.
Yeah. So she's like, oh, I'd love to go to a ball. Like, bitch, what are you saying? So,
Which again, Ovi, babe, you are the one who said at the very top, don't make deals with devils.
yeah. But
As
Sinclair
soon
comes around.
Oh my god.
Maybe he's hot. I mean, that's why.
I mean, sure, but the thing as soon as he's like, "It'll be nothing. It's innocuous."
Yeah.
You
No
and I
costs.
and
Yeah.
Ophie and everybody else know that's not true.
Mm.
Anyway, sorry, I got very impassioned in that moment, but it's just
It's a little dumb
tale
move
as old
for
as time.
sure.
Tale as old as
Yeah.
time. Some mythical being with shifty and self-serving motives comes up to
Mm.
you and tries to convince you that whatever you're about to say yes to has no strings attached
And it's a
and you're
lie.
gonna get out of this. It's just for fun. Don't drink the Fey wine, people. Don't take the deal that seems innocuous because you know what? That's how they get you.
Exactly.
Anyway, TED Talk over.
So he creates this fantasy of her being at a ball, dancing for hours, and he ends up kissing her, which becomes to be a little issue later.
Mm,
And that situation, she ends up being like dancing for hours.
trapped.
So she almost misses the next level or like
Uh-huh.
this current level. So
And Blackwell's trying to get to her this whole
yeah, because
time.
he finds it weird that he couldn't
Mm.
connect to her or something like that.
Well, so part of the bargain, and this drives the reasoning for some of Blackwell's protectiveness, and he
Mm.
tells Ophi this. He says, your safety is connected to the strength of our bond. Part of the blood bond
Oh,
is that
yeah.
I protect you and keep you from harm. The more harm that comes to you, the thinner our bond gets.
Yes.
So yes, I think he's protecting her because he wants to, and is just gonna
He's developed something.
wants to protect his woman.
Yeah.
But he also very blatantly says, I'm also need to protect you if we're gonna continue to have this bond.
Yeah, because
So it
we
takes
got
him a
other
while to
levels.
break through this vision that she's having of the
Mm.
dancing, and he finally rolls up and says, "You need to get to the trial
No.
right fucking now." And it's a mess. It's a mess.
Yeah, so, he kinda saves her and he's like, "Oh shit, we gotta go." So,
Mhm.
whatever, she enters the level and it's a small room that has 2 levers, again with the levers.
Levers, always the
It's
levers.
always like a button or a lever.
It's sort of the Knights of the Round Table, but deadlier.
Yeah, so it's 2 levers that say forfeit and the other one says wrath. What do you think most people chose? Wrath.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So then they kind of go, I think she like appears in like a different room or something, and everyone's sitting around a table and there are 7 pedestals, um meaning one of them needs to forfeit. Okay, so
Oh,
they're
no, this is not the round table one. This
no.
is the one where they all show up and there's 7 pedestals and one of them has to quit. Or
Oh,
they have to get murdered.
yes. You see,
I thought
it's so similar because
oh,
there's another
man.
one
There's
later.
another one with more, but the columns are above them. They're
Yes.
gonna crush them.
That one's
This
I think
is
that one's good too.
oh, that one, very revealing. But yes, this is the one where they all look at the pedestals and they have to talk basically and say,
Because someone needs to leave.
who needs to leave? Are we gonna
Yes.
murder them? Are somebody gonna volunteer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of them needs to forfeit because there's only 7 pedestals. So Cade, of course, he attacks Edna and tries to kill her.
Literally, and this was
She's like a sweet girl, I think.
I mean, as sweet as any of them can be for
Yeah.
having
She
lived through
didn't
these
really have much
trials.
going on, like anything like was brought up.
But what was very telling in this moment, and sort of a like questioning your own humanity moment,
Mm.
is Cade seriously just latches onto her and
Yeah.
starts choking her, and the others are just watching. And
Yeah.
there's a
Mm.
very tense moment where they all, and it's not a like it's several seconds where they're watching her go from red to purple
'Cause he's
to
choking her,
because he's
yeah.
choking her out and nobody's moving. And there's this, you see everybody's in this tense moment of, do I do something or not? And
Mm.
it's Ophi who cuts in and breaks them apart. She does stand there with everybody else for several seconds,
Yeah.
but she ultimately decides, I'm not going to be this person. I'm not going to watch you do this shit in cold blood.
Mm.
And she gets Edna away from Cade, and then Edna falls to the ground. She says, "Help her breathe," and then she deals with Cade. But I thought it was such a telling moment. Like,
Mm.
I thought of myself in that situation, and it's one of those things where I feel like, as humans, you always question, like, what would I do in that situation?
Yeah.
I'd like to be able to say, sitting here right now, that I wouldn't stand by and watch that happen, and
Yeah.
I don't think I would, but I don't think you ever really know. And it's one of those moments, I think, for that group of people where they are standing there going, "Is this who I am? Like, am I the person that stands by and
Yeah.
watches it happen?" And
Mm.
Cade says, as he's doing it, "You all are doing nothing, and you are therefore accomplices to this.
Mm.
Just know that. I'm the one choking this woman out, but you're
Yeah.
the one watching." And
Yeah,
it was
that's pretty
haunting. It was a
yeah.
haunting, haunting moment, and
Mm.
I liked how visceral that was.
Yeah, and I think it's just tough because it's like they don't wanna leave, they don't wanna forfeit, and, I think it was a tough time. So she ends up forfeiting, Edna, she's just like, "I get me out of here."
Like, almost dies,
Yeah, she almost
and
died. So it's like,
yeah.
would you wanna die or would you wanna leave the game? And you kinda go about your way. So she leaves and, I think Sinclair comes around and, he was saying I think because Ophelia was like, "Oh, where's Blackwell? Where's he at?" And he says that Blackwell is with Rhea, another which is the devil of this, level, and they have a history together
They were
in
basically lovers.
yeah,
Not basically, they were lovers.
in the past time. So
Mhm.
she gets a little jealous, that's for sure, and she's like, "Why am I feeling this way?"
And also, I think it's Blackwell that says, "Jealousy is a good color on you." I like
Mm.
that they, like, play with each other that
Yeah,
way.
they're
He
messing around,
Yeah,
yeah.
Blackwell doesn't see her jealousy and gets upset. It's like, "Why are you jealous?" No, no. He's kinda like, jealousy's kinda hot on you, and
I
I
mean, he's a
liked that.
devil. He's gonna, like, mess
He's
around and
gonna
play with her.
yeah, mm.
So, I don't think he really comes around until later, but
Mm,
Ophelia is able to summon up the Whispering Gate again, and she
mm.
ends up being able to talk to her mom in
Such a
that,
wild moment.
which is so cool.
Mhm.
So, they kinda have a little conversation, and, she said I think her mom was saying that she's, like, kind of, like, in a better place, or she's able to, like, figure something out.
She gets I feel like they get a little bit of closure. There's been a lot
Yeah.
of pressure on Ophelia to be a certain kind of person and to
Mm.
move through life in a certain way and to have the legacy where Genevieve over and over again and Ophi expresses this, and I think this is what makes Genevieve's decision to go into Phantasma such a surprise to her.
Mm.
Genevieve throughout her life has said, "I'm not getting involved in this. I'm not this necromancer stuff. I don't want any part of it. I'm not taking on this mantle." And Genevieve told Ophi all through their life, "If it ever passes to me, I'm passing it up. I'm not carrying the
Yeah.
mantle of this family."
Yeah.
And so when she goes into Phantasma, it's such a shock to Ophi. She's like, "Genevieve never wanted any of
This
this."
is the last place I thought she would be at.
Mhm. And because Ophi has been under her mother's tutelage her whole life,
Mm.
she feels such a pressure to fill her mother's shoes, to be the right kind of necromancer, to do the right thing. And I think this meeting with her mom absolves her of that a little bit. And her
Yeah.
mom says something, and even Ophi says she doesn't say she's proud of me outright, but you can tell that's kind of what she's getting at.
Mm.
And she, I think, makes a small statement about, make sure to forge your own path. Like, make sure
Yeah.
you can carry this legacy if you want, but like do it your way.
Yeah.
Do things the way that are going to work for you. And I think it creates that wedge of doubt. Like it wedges in there for Ophelia that she does not have to be her mother. She does not have
Yeah.
to do exactly as her mother does. She can have her own legacy. She can have her own way of moving through the world, which I thought was
I
really
think
cool.
that is so powerful, especially when we get into therapy mind,
Mm.
because we discuss a lot of those family, like, traditional things,
Yeah.
and, yeah, I felt like that was a good note to have,
Mm.
like, that ability of having, like, the closure with her mom, so, that was kind of how level 5 ended up, and we are that was very interesting
Mm,
to
mm.
see how that ends up.
Well, and I think it's the pieces are starting to come together. By the
Yeah.
time you get to level 5, Sinclair is there, he's got motives, and
Mm.
he clearly doesn't want Ophelia to keep going, and she's starting to track what's that?
Yeah, she's trying to figure out what's the moral of the story, or what's, like, the reasoning behind everything.
Yeah, and Blackwell and Ophelia are having their back and forth, but they're
Mm.
getting closer. Oh, and by the way, if you fall in love in Phantasma, your love is cursed. So they're
Yes.
both falling in love with each other and trying not to and failing miserably.
Yeah, they're trying to have space, it does not work
It does
out.
not work. They're trying to find this heart and key for Blackwell. So
Yeah.
there's sort of 3 or 4 irons in the fire now, and they're
Yeah.
all marching toward
Yeah.
this
Because he didn't even
conclusion.
remember, again, because of his memory
Mhm.
loss or ability to not retain what he says.
Yeah.
He didn't remember that he told her that. So when she mentioned, "Oh, you told me this," then obviously, like, he's able to connect that, like, "Oh, maybe that's a clue. I just can't remember
Yes.
it." So,
He does, he struggles throughout saying, and she
yeah.
asks him several questions about, "How what's your first memory?" And he's trying to think
He's like, "I
back,
don't know, girl."
and
Like,
he's doing his best. He says, "Something happens and I don't remember everything." He
that's
said,
so sad.
"It well, and I think what you see as you draw toward the end is how sad it makes
Mhm.
him. He
Mhm.
becomes more and more vulnerable with her,
Yeah.
and you can see how it crushes him that he can't remember and that he knows he feels this connection to Ophelia, but he doesn't understand it. And
Yeah.
that's where her statements around like you are a distraction, like I just want to be like, Ophi, stop that. Stop that. Yeah, like that's
Yeah.
number one, that's hurtful. That's can you
Yeah.
imagine going like you're falling for somebody
Yeah.
and they come to you and you're like, "Hey, can you distract me? You're a distraction." It's like,
I can see how you're
don't
seeing her as the bad
don't
guy.
belittle me here.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think she's the bad guy. I think she's trying to protect herself, but it's
Yeah.
she's hurting other people, and they both are. They're both trying
Yeah.
to protect themselves and each other. They're hurting each other in the process. It's a
Yeah.
two-way street. I'm not saying he's not doing stuff that's bad. It's just the distraction thing really threw me. I was like, Ophi,
'Cause
you
he
gotta
even
stop.
Yeah, 'cause even at some point, he's like, I don't wanna be just a distraction to you."
And she
Oof.
does own up to it. She does. She
Yeah.
says, "I know I said that you're a distraction, but I want you. I want," and they keep
Yes.
from saying "I love you" for so long, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah.
Maybe so we're sort of in level 5 here, but we've got a few more levels left. So, want to take a break and then we'll come
Yes.
back and we'll pick up with what, deceit?
Yes,
All
level
right.
6, and we're almost there.
Yeah.
All right, so now we are in level 6.
Ooh.
So it is called deceit. So in this one, the devil's name is Phoebe. And the theme for this one is falsehoods, betrayal. Obviously, the name deceit explains itself. The riddle for this one is a trial of secrets where blood reveals the price. True or false, make your choice is wise. Make sure your choice is wise. A crushing truth sealed by uncertain fates. False tales won't help for your blood knows the stakes. So,
Wow.
this is the one that we were talking about earlier about the pillar above their heads.
Yes, we got all discombobulated. This is the pillar one.
Yeah.
Which
Intense.
wild to me. You just have a pillar hanging over your head. I would be
Oof.
It like prickles my scalp to think about that.
Yeah. So in this one, there's gonna be like illusions and false realities, and the contestants have to kind of like figure out the truth.
Mm.
So it's basically a true or false game, which I thought
Mhm.
was pretty simple.
Well, but it's like terrifying in its simplicity.
A life
It's
or death, truth or false.
and it's an emotional there's an emotional and mental toll that the other ones, like the swinging blade one, there's ones that are
Yes.
involve more physical dangers, and this certainly does with a pillar hanging over your head, but there's a cost here that goes
Yeah.
beyond that.
Whether you're lying or not. So, all the contestants are handcuffed to a table. So this is the table scene.
Which, and I love that Ophi just like makes her hands invisible and then
Yeah,
like
she's able to get out of it.
automatically no handcuffs.
What an awesome, like, magical
What a
trait
goat.
to have.
Yeah. Which comes into play later. She's got all these like disappear her hands tricks.
Yeah. So, and there's this magical black liquid in the middle of the table, and there's a pillar above each person's head, pretty much that's gonna crush you if you're found to be lying in this
Or
situation.
if you guess someone else is wrong. So like if you say if the statement is like Yarlin did this and such a thing and it's false, but I say true, I also get crushed.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Wild.
So, kind of there's also like a little needle that pricks you, and your blood is able to, it goes into the pool of the black blood or the black liquid, and that's how it can tell that you're telling the truth or not. And the questions are obviously like very personal to try to get you to see if you're gonna lie or not.
Well, and I think it's to pit people against each other.
Yeah, and uncover some truths.
Yeah.
Like I believe I can't remember if it was Cade, but he basically like asked Ophelia if she was a devil or if she made a deal with the devil or something.
Well, no, I mean, I think he brings it up several times, and Ophelia's like, no.
He needs to let it go.
He adamant. Everyone's like, red blood. She has red blood.
Yeah.
Demons don't have red. He doesn't care about that. The question that she's asked in this, though, is, or that the statement, the true or false statement is,
did
you kiss a devil. Yeah.
Yep.
You've kissed a devil. And everyone's like, skirt. And this,
everybody's
I mean,
like, ooh, ah.
in Cade, I don't want to say in Cade's defense.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to defend him. But in Cade's defense, when you hear you've kissed a devil, like, if I'm looking at that as an outsider, it's like
Mm.
something has to be going on here. If you're like making out with the
Yeah.
devils behind the scenes, like who are you in cahoots with?
Right, right.
know?
Like you're doing that like willingly, you
Oh
know?
yeah, yeah.
So basically someone lies
Mhm.
and they ultimately get crushed
Yeah.
pretty gruesomely by this pillar, and that really kind of traumatized I'm sure all of them, but
Oh yeah, even
Ophelia's like, "Oh
Cade.
my gosh."
Everybody like and Ophelia makes a point of like calling it out that everybody is horrified by
Mm.
it. It's a
Mhm.
very gruesome death. And I think it was don't two contestants get crushed and one is because they guess wrong. They say, "Oh, that's not true." And everyone else is like, "That's true." He
I can't
he
remember.
guesses that so Cade's statement says
Yeah.
that he killed his cousin or somebody he knows
Uh,
on purpose,
uh-huh.
and Cade didn't really. They were in a car together and
Oh,
his
yes,
cousin
and he
died.
and he was like, "Little do you know."
Yeah, he was trying to, like, throw people off,
Mhm.
but, uh, Ophelia, I think either with her heart necklace or something, she was like, "That's not true. You didn't kill them."
And maybe that's how the person which I wish I would have wrote down the person's name who got crushed. It wasn't Eric, right?
It was it
Eric?
James? Um, Eric was already dead by this point. It was
There was someone else.
there was an older gentleman named James who died either in the pendulums or in this,
I feel like it might have been this one because it
maybe.
seems to be like only one death in each of these levels.
Yeah.
So let's say yeah, so pretty much he guessed wrong
Mhm.
or lied or whatever the situation. He got crushed and kind of like, they move on and everything's okay.
Well, first everybody like 4 people throw up and they
Yes.
all cry,
So
but
like
then they get over it.
blood and guts
Yeah,
and just
yeah.
like
Very
it's
gory, very gory.
oof, I can only imagine that in
Yeah.
like a visual.
Yee.
So Blackwell ends up finding out that Sinclair kissed Ophelia
Well, and
and
I think what was important here is, like, as soon as Sinclair and because Sinclair and Ophelia, he, like, presses her against the wall and is like, "I could, like, make
yeah,
you feel really good
because I'm a devil and I
because 'cause
can
I'm a
show
devil,
you.
dee-dee-dee-dee-dee." And at this point, her and Blackwell had kinda, like, tried to push apart because they were like, "We can't fall in love." They're pushing apart.
Mm.
And, when she's like, "Yeah, kiss me. I wanna see how it feels."
Yes. Oh
And
my
he kisses
gosh.
her,
I
and
knew
then
that was gonna be bad. Mm.
he, like, gets a little bit handsy in a way.
Does he?
A
I thought he only
special
kissed
Oh, yeah,
her.
he gets in there, just for
Oh.
a second,
Okay, okay,
and
okay.
then because she is not feeling anything, she's like, "Maybe
She's
I."
like, "Wait."
Well, and she makes a point of saying, like, "My body's reacting, but it doesn't hold any heat for me," which I think is a really great representation of, like, just because your body is reacting to
Mm,
stimulation, that doesn't mean that you're into it. Like,
right.
people and this is such I could pop off on it, and I'm not gonna, but I think a trope you see in these books often is, like, even in, like, the dark, romances or whatever, it's like you're saying no, but I can tell your body's telling me yes. And it's like, that's not
Yes.
that's not that's not true. Like, your body can react to
Of
the
course.
physical stimulation, and
Yeah.
you can still not be into it. And so, I think this distinction between, like, okay, I can feel my body reacting the way a body would.
Yeah.
If you touch my business,
Yeah.
like, a body will react the way it will, but my head's not in it.
Yeah,
I'm
mentally,
not
it's
it's
not the
not
same
getting into
thing.
it. I also really like that even Sinclair, who's the sort of one of the self-proclaimed bad guys,
Yeah.
um, in that moment says, "When you say stop, we stop." And after a moment,
I
she's
did like
like,
that, yeah.
yeah, she's like, "Nah, I'm not." And I think even Rhea shows up and she's like, "Ooh, I'm telling Blackwell about this one." So
Yeah.
Rhea immediately goes to Blackwell and says
That
something. Literally, Rhea.
She's the
Well, and
worst.
now that jealousy that
Mm.
Ophelia got to feel about Rhea and Blackwell being
Yeah.
lovers,
Now Blackwell's feeling
now
it.
Blackwell's and I love this part, but, like, Ophelia's like, I hate to say it, but jealousy's a good color on you." Like, they love to, like, get under each other's skin like that, and so, I think at this point, Blackwell knows from Rhea
Yeah.
It's that he's hearing it confirmed in this question, and everybody's like, "True, you did do that." And she's like, "True, I did do that."
She's like, "But I said no."
But it was only for a little second. Well, and in her defense, I'm thinking that it's right after that point where Blackwell decides, no, I have to protect us from each other and
Yeah, we
protect
need
her.
space.
We need space. We're just co-workers or whatever he said.
Co-workers.
Yeah, he uses a term. I don't remember, like
business. This is
business
just
partners.
business.
Yes, business partners. We're just business partners. And so, in defense of Ophelia,
I get it.
she's kind of like, and she's doing this with St. Clair, not because she genuinely wants to be with St. Clair. She wants to see, is what Blackwell and I do together something different and special than what I could get from someone else.
That's
so
true.
She's feeling out the fact that
literally
that there is something different about Blackwell that goes beyond physical stimulation. Like, Sinclair's not doing anything wrong. Sinclair is making all the maneuvers she would make to turn somebody on. And she's like, this doesn't hold the fire that Blackwell and I have. So it's sort of a confirmation to her that there's something that goes beyond the purely physical with them.
Yeah, they have a little emotional bond.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think they have a big emotional bond. But, I mean, as big emotional bond as you can have after 6 days. But
6 days.
Well, they're long days.
For sure. So, he finds out that Sinclair kissed her, and he's very upset. And there's a quote that he says, like, at the end of that chapter, of saying, "In a different life, a fair one, I would have kept you until my eternal soul withered away to dust."
Oh.
Why can't men talk like this in real life?
I don't know.
I'm like, if you talk like this, you'd get so many
far.
beautiful women. Like, please, the yearning and the longing.
Here's the thing, like, in the dating world space, which I am in, and it's very interesting, you can't even get folks to ask a question about you. Like, as a counselor, it's like rough out here because, like, part of what counselors do is we become very good at being conversationalists.
Yeah.
And at asking people interesting questions about themselves. We help people to learn to talk about themselves. That effort, that ability,
it's a confidence.
Hardly returned.
Yeah, I truly think that, like, many men, and I'm not speaking for all of them, but I'm just saying, like, a lot of them have a hard time with being confident, and, like, they play all these childish games. I'm not in the dating world, but I see, like, my friends, like, text and stuff with their potential people, and I'm just like, I would be, like, it would be a hard time for me to find someone because I'm not with it. I'm not with it with these people.
And honestly, it's rough because it's the ability to show interest in a person and have a genuine face-to-face conversation folks seems to struggle with that. And I don't know what that's about, but I have a new rule. I'll ask you a question about yourself, an interesting, thoughtful question based on what I know about you and whatever short amount of time. Then if they talk, I'll ask one follow-up question. And then if they talk and they don't ask me anything, I just start responding in the same way. I just start making statements. And you know what happens after that? Conversation dies because you're not inquiring anything.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't understand. Number one, I don't understand how I got here to this topic. I'm realizing. But two, I don't understand. People being able to say shit like this.
Yes.
Say beautiful romantic things, ask questions, be intuitive, be inquisitive. Like, just be curious.
Tell me that you
know about the other person.
Yeah, and tell me that you've lived many lives to wait for me.
Tell me
you've been waiting for me all this time.
That you would rip the universe to shreds to find my soul in every lifetime that we might appear together. I don't understand. What?
People don't got it. People don't got it. I'm
These
saying
are simple things. Declare your love after 6 days. No, don't do that. That's scary. That was scary. That would be scary.
But truly, I think that's why we love romance so much and why we just kind of escape in it because it's not happening in real life, guys.
No.
It's just
No. Although, I mean,
sad.
these
It's
days are
sad.
really long, though. Like, they do go through a lot.
Honestly, I'd go through Phantasma to get this kind of love if it was up to me.
That's what would be the draw for you.
If I was single, I would do that.
You would have watched yourself, girl.
But yeah, but instead of a silver-haired man, if you make it a ginger Scottish man, or
one with the name Jamie Alexander
Yep,
Malcolm
yep.
Mackenzie Fraser?
Him.
Yeah, okay.
Or Roman Reigns.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
You don't watch WWE?
Okay. No, I don't. I watch one person from WWE, and when my friends listen to this episode, they're gonna get a chuckle out of this. Rhea Ripley.
I like her. She's awesome.
Oh, I love her. The things that woman could do to me. Whoa, she's
cool. I like her vibe.
Whole vibe, her whole thing. The way she's got these like hands and these forearms, like she just like
she's strong,
exudes power, and I respect that. And so all of that to say, before I get too carried away, I know what Rhea Ripley does. I couldn't buy a shit to give about literally anybody else. Like, you ask me any other wrestler's name.
Yeah, honestly, the men kind of suck.
Well, who's this? What name?
Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns.
So he's a beautiful man. He is Samoan.
I was gonna say, is he Samoan? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm pulling that information from.
He's just so tan, long dark hair.
I'm
beard,
seeing seeing the picture now. Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. You know who this reminds me of? Is like Khan from yeah. You're like precisely exactly.
Yep. You know me. I love a Viking looking man,
strong of jaw, sweaty, bearded.
Yep.
Big tattoo on the pectoral there. I see it.
Yeah.
I see it all.
But he does suck at wrestling though. His
Roman.
Moves are very fake. Like I literally think the women are so much better.
Okay. I literally can't speak on it. I only watch reels of Rhea Ripley. I'm serious. I'll watch compilations of Rhea Ripley.
And she's so confident. Like that's awesome.
When she walks in the room, she owns that place. I'm like,
yeah,
girl, this is too much. You play too much. And she does, and she gets away with it because I'll keep watching. I will.
So the whole point is, if men were to talk this way,
so to return to the point,
take notes. You know,
yeah, I just need you to find creative ways to tell me that you would protect me and defy the universe for me.
Yeah,
that's it. Really,
fight demons for me.
Yeah. So, get on it, everybody. It's just something to work on. Therapeutic goals. There you go. Put it on your treatment plan.
We went different routes with this. We went WWE. We went mystical. We're all in all parts.
You know what? I think it's fair.
We've given you some visuals, some examples.
Exactly. We've really given you a strong foundation from which to start. And now it's up to you. Now it's up to you to take it and run with it.
It's in your hands.
I look forward to a better dating life now that we've brought this into the world.
I truly hope they've applied what they've learned. So level 7 is violence. So the devil is not mentioned in this one. Like there's no name. Like someone just comes up and like doesn't introduce themselves. Okay. The theme for this one is brutality and aggression, of course, and the riddle is a choice of 2 tokens, a decision to make. If all only take 1, nothing is at stake. If 2 choose 1, the third takes all. The third will walk, the others will brawl. If 2 choose all, and the third takes 1, the third will be free. The other 2 are done.
This riddle would offend me the most.
This was so confusing.
I would have All the riddles would have stressed me out, as we've seen throughout this whole episode.
I'm
This
like
riddle, you know
I'm like
what?
twice the
What did the third
third.
one? At this point, if I were a contestant, I probably just would have given up. I would have been like, why are you telling me these riddles? I don't. This
Just
isn't.
bring it on.
Just like draw me a map, please. Somebody do something other than make this more complicated than it
Who
has
has
to
the
be.
time to write these riddles down?
Well, apparently these devils do. They have nothing better to do than to like twiddle their thumbs.
What is it? The mystical paperwork? What did we say for
Dragon paperwork?
Dragon paper. This one is
This
the
one's
devil paperwork.
devil paperwork, which obviously, when you have an eternal lifespan, you apparently have time to make little cute riddles. I'm over it.
Yeah,
I just
this
wanna
is their job, though.
yeah, sure, but I would like I'd look at the devil and be like, really, really, this is what you okay, whatever.
This one could have been reduced a lot.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's too many steps. And here's the thing, I get it. All that information is true and important.
yeah,
No, I'm over it. I would have just rolled my eyes. I would have been like, you know what? Why do you even bother talking before I walk through this door? Just let me walk through the door and figure it out. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I got really offended by that last riddle. Took me to a new dimension.
This one was just pretty much all like aggression.
Mhm.
So they're in this brutal environment where they have to physically combat each other or
Well,
like
and now it's
fight.
just Cade and Ophelia, because what Blackwell does is he tells her what the other two chose.
Yeah.
So it's like her choice is like either they all get eliminated or she has to fight Cade.
Yeah,
and
there's like
Charlotte
the 2-1 and
leaves.
the third situation. So yeah, so
etc. So on
it
and so
ends up
forth.
being like Ophelia and Cade,
Mhm.
and fortunately Ophelia won, and she did have to kill him. And she has a difficult time accepting that she killed him and that she had to do all that, but it's what was needed to happen in order to move on to the next level.
Well, and I think this is a really cool moment for her as a character. She's not a bloodless,
Yeah.
sinless character. Like,
Mhm.
and I think this solidifies her as like there is a darkness to her. She will do what she needs to do, especially to protect her sister.
Yeah.
And that shit I understand.
Yeah. So, Blackwell helps her cope with this at her request. And she's like, I need a distraction. Or like again, like,
she
needs
says what she needs
something.
to say, and they do what they need to do.
So they get it on in this scene.
Let's get it on.
This is how she processes and how she copes.
And some of us, that's true. And
Yeah.
Ophi, I'm not gonna judge you, girl. Like, I'm not gonna judge you, Curly Pop. Sometimes you need some postcoital clarity to like get through your day. And we're not gonna judge her for that.
Yeah, she's going through hard times right now.
Yeah, she's going through a lot. Girl. Whatever you gotta do. It could be drugs. It could be drugs.
It could always be worse.
And it's not drugs. It's just the sweet, sweet release of pleasure.
A beautiful ghostly
A beautiful ghostly gasm to get us through the day.
I love that. That was a good one.
You like that? I kind of got myself with that one a little bit.
So, plot twist here. While they're in the middle of their special event, who knocks on the door? Her
Please.
sister.
Please tell me why.
Genevieve's like, hello?
Oh, God.
That was so random to me.
Well, and I would say random, but such a sibling thing to do.
Yeah.
Such a sibling thing to do.
I don't think she even finished.
No, she didn't.
I think she ruined
To
it.
clarify, I don't mean your sibling walking in on you. That's not. But like, just like the inconvenience.
Yeah.
It's just like
At the wrong
at the
time.
worst moment, your sibling being like, "Hey, what's happening?" And you're like, "Get out of here."
Ruining the vibe.
Yeah, but thank goodness Blackwell has the ability to snap clothes into being. That's what he does, because this is not the first time they've been interrupted.
Yeah.
I think Jasper interrupts him at one point. He just
yeah,
she's
I think so.
nudie, and he like snaps some clothes on her.
He's got some good powers. They're
Yeah.
very useful.
So useful and helpful and nice.
Oh, so yeah. Genevieve is finally uncovered. She's here, and
Which Ophi should have kind of known, because you go through the first 7
yeah,
and then you're done, and so it stands to reason
Mhm.
that Genevieve would be there for the 8th.
Yeah. So, her and Genevieve kinda talk a little bit, they kinda get to I guess, follow up with each other and see what's been going on, and, Ophelia finds out that their mom was securing, like, a safe home for them, like
Mhm.
another different house or something for
Mhm.
them to be as a family, I guess there was, like, to detach from what was going on.
Well, and this is where the Gabriel thing really starts to come
Mm.
together.
Mhm.
Her mother and father fell in love in Phantasma,
Yes.
and because of that, they got cursed. And so the curse is that Tessie gets less and less gets more and more detached from Gabriel, but
Yeah.
Gabriel becomes more and more obsessed.
Mhm.
So Gabriel was the one who was the contestant working with Blackwell
Oh, yeah.
before right before Ophelia worked with him. And the reason, and this is what you kind of come to discover, are we not at that part yet? I don't want to like get too hasty, but it all comes together that the Phantasma and Tessie's death and
Oh,
them all being
yes.
connected, it's all very much connected.
Yes, and that is explained later on in
Okay,
the
then I'm
in
gonna zippa my lippa and
yeah.
let that play out.
And Genevieve and, like, Ophelia also finds out that her sister is a specter too, which is, like, that power of becoming invisible,
They're
and
both specters.
Genevieve was just hiding the power the whole time because she was like, "I didn't wanna rub it in your face that I had this power, and
Such a
you."
raggedy thing to do.
Yeah.
I'm a necromancer. I have the, like, family lineage on
Yeah,
my
and you didn't wanna
hands that
tell
you
me
didn't
you
wanna
had
let me
this?
know that you could, like, disappear through walls and shit.
Yeah, so, her sister ends up, because basically the way Genevieve has been able to get through Phantasma is by being invisible in every single level.
Mhm.
So now Ophelia wants her to be safe and's like she's telling her just forfeit, Blackwell will get me through.
Get out of here.
I have already made a deal with him to get him, free
Yep.
and all that. So Genevieve forfeits the game and she's like, "Okay, see you later at the house."
Bye-bye, sissy.
See you later.
Yeah. Well, and she does. She goes back and forth with Ophelia. She's like, "I'm not leaving you here. You're constantly looking out for me. Let me look
Yeah.
out for you." And
Mhm.
Ophelia basically is like, "This is you looking out for me. I
Yeah.
need you to go
To
so
be
that I can
safe.
focus on this."
So that is level 7. Now we get into level 8, which is fraud. Ooh, and who's the devil in this one? Sinclair.
How dare he?
Um, the theme is deception and manipulation, and the riddle. Okay, you're gonna like this one because it's only choose wisely on a door.
Love that. Thank
Uh,
you. Thank you for the clear directive. At this
no
point,
confusion here.
I'll take anything. I'll
Yeah.
take anything other than what the riddle was in number 7. I'll take anything over that.
That one was the worst.
Worst.
So in this one, there's different like complex schemes and manipulations, testing like their abilities to tell like the truth from the lies. So Ophelia enters this door and finds her sister, but the sister is like a fake clone,
Mhm.
and she pretty much has to identify who is the real Genevieve.
Because there's 2 of them.
Because
There's
there's two.
yeah.
And if she chooses the wrong one, then the real Genevieve dies, the one outside of Phantasma, which is connected to probably what happened with her mom. So that is something that becomes discovered later on where it's like their dad probably chose the wrong of their mom, and like that's how
Mhm.
she ended up just like dying out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's how they kind of figure that all out is like,
Yeah.
"Oh, my mom died because of Gabriel's choice."
Mm.
And what's so interesting is Gabriel the last so Blackwell had wanted to work with Gabriel, and so they were working together in that blood pact, but Blackwell says time and time again, Gabriel stopped communicating with me. He stopped seeking my help. And
Mm.
so he's like, that's the best guess, that's a really good guess, but like I don't quite know what your dad was up
Yeah.
to the last few rounds because he wasn't
He wasn't
using
calling
my
me.
help.
He
Yeah.
wasn't. Yeah. So Ophi's smart because she ends up like figuring out that neither of them are the real Genevieve.
So smart. I think I would have fallen for it. I
Yeah.
don't know if I would have
I think that I can't remember what it was, but she just noticed that it just wasn't the right one.
either of them like were
Yeah.
her.
So she won, pretty much. She won Phantasma, and you know, she kind of is able to like talk to Sinclair, and like their interaction was like revealing the deeper levels of this game.
Mhm.
And like, you know, Sinclair's like, well, I don't know if you're ready for the next level. I don't know if like, you know, and she's like, no, I want the prize. Like I need to like move on.
Mhm.
And he's just kind of warning her a bit. So now we get into level 9. Jesus.
Oh boy. A
The
journey of 1,000 miles.
So this one is treachery, and the devil is Salamastrius, Salem, Erasmus, Blackwell.
Bam, 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 girl, you did it. You
I
did
think
it.
I
You
said
did
that
it.
one real good.
Yes, you have earned it. You deserve a cookie. You deserve whatever you want, because
Mm.
that's a $10 name right there.
So this is our Blackwell. His real name is Salem, or Salamastrius. Obviously the theme for this one is betrayal and loyalty and all this. You'll see there's no riddle because there's a big bomb that's gonna be thrown here.
We don't need riddles where we're going.
So basically their relationship is like tested, and the loyalty pretty much, because now she's like, wait, you were like the Phantasma, the person who was ruling this. So then it gets into a quick little like a backstory of like 5 centuries ago, where Salem fell in love with a mortal,
As they
and
do.
his father did not approve of that. His father killed the mortal, literally like ripped her heart out of her chest.
Yeah, and kept it inside of a weird little locket, interestingly enough.
Yes, an
Crazy.
interesting locket that holds her soul.
Crazy.
Um, so
Weird.
the consequence that Salem has to deal with was to rule Phantasma, and try to get out and have his father forget his true name, because like that's how his father has able to like kind of rule over him, because he's like, I know your true name. And his father was also upset that Salem let the mortal know Salem's true name. Like,
Mm.
that's just kind of something you're not supposed to do, apparently.
Oh, yeah, and, usually I see it with, like, fae, like, in the world
Uh,
traditionally in folklore, in the world of the fae, you're never supposed to reveal your true name to people.
mhm.
Same thing, I think, with Jinn, like Djinn, Jinn.
Oh, I don't know.
In folklore, like, you're not supposed to let people know your true name because then it gives you power over them.
Mm.
And
It just reminds me a lot of, like, when you see, like, the paranormal movies, or, like, when you kinda see, like, The Conjuring and things where they you reveal when you find out the name of the ghost or kind of that paranormal being, like, you can, like, send them back to
banish it.
Yes.
I saw, not on purpose, but because I have
Yeah,
such
with
bad
possessions, yeah.
FOMO, I saw Paranormal Activity. I hated it. I
Those
hated it.
suck, though. The
Ah,
Conjurings are good.
I'm gonna take your word for it. That's one. I'll watch Beetlejuice, but this I
The
can't.
others are a
I
little more
can't do it.
intense.
Yeah.
Also, the cat
Poe?
was a spy.
How dare. How
I
dare.
always knew the cat has something fishy.
Well, but the cat ends up staying with Blackwell even after all this pans out. So I think the cat,
Yeah. But it
yes,
was I think it just ultimately would always gonna report back to what was going on. So I wasn't into
shame,
it.
shame.
So his Salem's father trapped the mortal's love soul
Mm.
into the necklace, and wanted whoever was gonna have the necklace to be the least possible person who would enter Phantasma to wear it. So who ends up being that person is Hestia Grimm,
Hestia
which
Grimm.
is obviously a descendant from antecedent, or an ancestor.
Ancestor.
An ancestor of Ophelia and Jenny.
Mhm.
Who so Hestia was a person who hated the devils and hell, and she was like trying to create this like army or something. So basically they gave her the necklace, and the necklace was
5 centuries later.
and that is what was keeping like Ophelia and whoever wore the necklace, that was keeping them alive, and they
Mm.
can't take it off. And that's
And I think one of the key parts, this is why Blackwell Salem can't remember things, because it's very purposeful that he doesn't quite know even who he is, because as soon as he claims his identity, it makes him more powerful. It makes him more of a threat. So he's bumbling around for centuries trying to figure out who he is, and
that must be so hard.
Yeah. Well, and it's 5 centuries of Ophelia getting ever and ever closer to him. It's like their shit converges, and it takes that long for it to converge, which I think was also purposeful on the part of the King Devil.
Yeah. So it's really interesting to see like how connected like their families and all of that was. And basically Ophelia has to make the choice of either kind of whatever wish she wants to have granted, and pretty much the wish that she wants is to remove his tether from Phantasma. And he's like, "Are you sure?"
Yeah.
Cuz I think right, because she has the risk of dying.
Well, it is that by giving him the locket, which is what he needs her to do, she will die.
Yeah.
As soon as she takes it off, her heart starts slowing down. She starts dying pretty immediately.
So it's funny because they leave it literally in the cliffhanger. And then in the next page, that's when they give you kind of like a future scenario.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, they have this moment. So they make a pact. He offers her a pact and says, "I can tie your life to mine. Make a blood oath with you.
Yeah.
And for as long as I live, you will also live." And that's such a heavy burden. Are you sure you want to do that?
Yeah.
And then, as you say, right in that moment, he's like, "Is that what you want?" Cut.
And then you have to read this full page to see what's going on. So, long story short, she does end up saving him, and
their lives are connected forever. And
and they're doing this research on the locket. It's like briefly mentioned, and then her sister is sent somewhere.
She goes to Italy. They're like, "We're gonna take you on a trip."
But did they say where? They said Italy?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh,
I think it was Italy, because I remember thinking, "Ooh, we're gonna have a book set in Italy." Or maybe did they say? Or did I?
Because I feel like I remember
or
Ophelia...
a trip to Europe. Do you know what?
What?
I think I read like the like back page blurb of Enchantra. That's how I know that. So no, I don't know if that counts as a spoiler. I'm so sorry. But,
I think it is. It's okay.
Block your ears. But if you read the back cover of Enchantra, you don't have to read the book to know what the next
own spoiler at this point. But yes, I remember Ophelia was like, "Oh, like, why do we have to send her 2 weeks early?" And like something about tickets and stuff, but they never like kind of mention where she's going. So basically, I put her sister is somewhere else doing something, maybe book 2. happy ending, but a bit lackluster. So this is kind of the end of the book, pretty much. I definitely
wait. So you don't know anything about? It's at the end of Phantasma. There's a little, at least so I read it on Kindle. There was a little like, here's the blurb that you can expect from Enchantra.
No, I didn't. I read it physical and it didn't have that.
Oh, okay.
That's so cool about like...
I mean, it's not, it wasn't a full scene or anything, but it was like a series of lines that were like, look out for the...
Yeah, they didn't have that.
Dee-lee-lee.
They only had, after that last page, it had like a note from the author about OCD, and then like their like author acknowledgements or whatever. So that's cool.
Okay. See, that's why. Okay, I gotta shut up.
So it was the Kindle's fault, not your fault.
Let's go with that.
Okay, so now teehee moments. I would love for you to go first.
I had so many teehee moments.
Dude, this list is long.
I have a whole dissertation.
This is the longest teehee section we've had.
Oh, I was teeheeing my way through this book. So many of the teehee moments were nasty, like just stuff happening.
That's what we're here for.
Honestly, like what else would we be here for? So I'm not gonna go into the nastiest of them, but I I am gonna hold on. There's one that was particularly bad. I'll you'll know it when you see it later on. I'm gonna try not to go through the worst of them, but I will hit some of my favorites.
Okay.
So one of my favorite things about Blackwell and Ophelia's dynamic is the presence of what would be widely known as a praise kink. She acknowledges, she's like, when he praises me,
Yeah.
I just feel good about it. And he loves to do it. So I have a point here that just says praisekink.com. And it's everything he says to her that has anything having to do with praise, including things like, good girl, nice job, Angel. I'm proud of you. You're such a good fucking girl. Come for me again, Angel. I went for it. I'm like, I'm going to say it. I'm not going to say that one. Be a good girl. That's right, Angel. You're taking it so well. Anytime like that.
But do we think he's saying do we think he's saying Angel a little bit too much?
Nah. No?
No?
Call me Angel.
Okay.
Call me, I mean, not for me. I like it becomes one of those things like, you know, in Outlander when he calls her Sassenach and it's like Sassenach.
Oh my god.
And it's like that's her name to him
that.
and he only is ever saying Claire if it's like in a panic or something. It became like that. It's like her name's Angel and like if you're saying my actual name that means something's up. And then there's one in particular that's connected to all that praise stuff that I lost my ever loving shit over, which is, you're doing such a good job, he encouraged. Eyes up for me, Angel. What? And if you know, you know what was happening there. Now to ones that are a little bit more PG.
Okay.
So at one point he asks her what she wants or something to the effect, and then she asks him, what do you want? They're both kind of like trying to like in a very vulnerable way, for real, what do you want? And he says, I want you to let me see you, all of you. There is nothing I have seen yet that has made me look away. No atrocity you could commit to make me not want you like this. No matter how forbidden, I want to know everything. I want to see all the darkest corners of your mind. What? You want to see the darkest corners of my mind?
Also,
wow.
That is one of my teehees, but you missed a part that is my favorite part of that scene.
What is that?
He also says, I think it's in like an extra line down, but he says, I want to taste your sins.
Ooh, okay. I did.
And this is the scene of like the blood rain clouds and the blood scene. That's when he says that. I literally wrote that down because
I literally. So, and this is something actually that comes up. There's a couple other books where this comes up, and I was just about to say one, but I'm not going to, because I spoiler stuff. But there are books that I've read where the female main character fears that their partner will truly see how evil, weird, strong, sexual, like these sort of hard-edged parts of womanhood, and to have your partner say like, I see all of you. I see your strength. I see your sins. I see all of it. I want all of it. I'm looking at all of it and I want it. That like
that's
creme
nice.
de la creme right there. Because I think a part of, and I'll say like traditional cis het womanhood is to be like, soften your edges, be polite, be easily digestible, be agreeable. And I can confidently tell you from any woman I've ever met, there are hard, angry, difficult, like there's crunchy stuff to any woman that you will meet who's actually being themselves. There are parts of every woman that are feral, dude. And I love to see a man going, I see that feral self you've got, and I want that shit. That
they're not scared of it.
No. And then I'll do one last one, although as you can see from my list, I have a total of 13. So just know that you're being spared. This one says, number 11 says, I told you before that nothing could ever stop me from getting to you if you needed me, and that will remain true forevermore. I would tear the universe apart at its seams if I must.
Take notes.
Wowie,
I'm
wowie.
saying.
Yeah, literally. Are you writing? Are you writing it down? I don't get the sense, listener, that you are.
He said he will tear the universe for me?
Yeah, to shreds. He will tear it at the seams for you. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What? What?
Anyone would fall in love with him.
Yeah.
Anyone.
Yeah. Also, by the way, you're 6'3" and piercing green eyes and a silver mane. So yeah.
I loved your teehee moments.
I teeheed my way through most of this book, and that was just a sampling. And please know, that's not the filthiest ones either.
Oh,
there are ones that are worse. So I'm trying to keep it polite here, but struggling.
Well,
I was gonna say
my teehee moments, I have a good amount too.
Oh yeah, girl, you got a good little chunk there.
My first one is, you are exactly the person I've been waiting for.
Yes.
Again, like if you've been waiting your whole life and centuries for me.
I get on board with that.
I
You're
like
waiting
that.
for me, exactly for me. Yep.
Another one where he says, come on, Angel, show me your teeth.
This was
show
also
me your teeth. Have you heard that Lady Gaga song? Teeth?
No, I thought we were
so
just
good.
vibing.
Show me your teeth. It's so good. It's so good.
I had this as a moment as well. I had an expanded version of this moment, which I always do, where he says, like, compassionate hearts don't survive here. You need hearts with teeth. Show me your teeth. Oh, sweet heavens.
You know, if you haven't read this book, you have to. You have to just have the whole vibe.
Yeah, there's no way to fully encapsulate.
Yeah. Oh, I love this next one. There is no article of clothing I don't know how to take off efficiently.
Hell yes.
And
we love the experience. You know what I'm saying? The experience.
I can't remember which book it was that we talked about this, but one of my other teehees was like a guy that said, I know my way around a corset.
Oh, you apparently love when they can make their way around articles of clothing. A little theme for us.
Yes. I wonder what that means.
Wait, we spend a whole episode just analyzing ourselves.
I know, right?
That would be horrifying.
My next teehee was the same one that you had about, you know, I want to see you and all of that. I want to taste your sins. That one spoke to me a lot because, you know, I like that.
Yeah.
He also says in another one, I think you might be the closest to heaven I'll ever get. And for a devil to say that, like that's, it's like he would not want to be anywhere near heaven.
But it's that tenderness. It's just like you're as good a thing as I'm ever gonna have. Oh my God.
The next one again, like did I say this one before?
I think you did. Yep.
Yep. So in a different life, a fair one, I would have kept you until my eternal soul withered away to dust.
Commitment.
And the last one, in all the darkness, in all the loneliness. Oh my gosh, I can't speak. I'm so excited. In all the darkness, in all the loneliness, you have been my one source of light. My soul will go to its grave with your name echoing in my mind.
Oh, I think I had that one as like one too. Oh,
that one's so good.
God, like your name will echo in my soul.
He's been living a long time, and my name is gonna be
5 centuries. You've lived and you've competed and you've died and you've lived again and you've forgotten some stuff and you've remembered other things. My name echoes in your soul. Oh my good heavens.
So good. Like this book has so many good teehee moments. Wow.
We really journey. we worked ourselves up into a tizzy over here. So suffice to say, this book is rampant with teehee moments.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It really is. It's fabulous. 10 out of 10 recommend. Or 5 out of 5 stars, as it were. Which you knew.
So now we're gonna get a little bit into therapy mind.
Yes.
So as we talked about already a little bit about Ophelia's OCD, you know, this is something that you see throughout the book, the shadow voice that talks to her and tells her these things. And I believe even in one of the levels, the shadow voice almost like animates itself in like real
Yes.
life.
Oh, yeah. It's her fear because
Mhm.
everyone's fear shows up at one point or another,
Yep.
and she realizes toward the end, "My fear hasn't shown up yet," because
Mhm.
her fear is the shadow voice.
Yep.
And her greatest fear, you find out, is that the shadow voice will become corporeal and will
Yeah.
attack other people, that she won't be able to contain it, and that it will go after other people, either
Yeah.
through her or just be separate from her body.
Yeah, so, you know, it's something that is part of her and it shapes how she survives, how she plans and perceives the threats. The ritual and like repetition brings order to the chaos for her. Like a lot of times, it's mentioned like, oh, you have to like knock on this 3 times for
Mhm.
this bad thing not to happen. So that happens, you know, throughout the book. And I do like that the author did write a note at the end of the book
Yeah.
discussing her personal experience with OCD, and Ophelia's character is was based off some of the author's OCD symptoms. So
Yep.
it's not something that someone just made up, you know, it's
Mhm.
someone's real life experience, and I appreciate her mentioning that and like recognizing that it's not like, oh, like a silly little thing. It's like a
Mm.
real life thing that people experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So I liked that note at the end too. As I was reading it, and I don't know if you had this experience, I immediately tracked. I was like, "Oh, this is OCD." And
Mhm.
then even though in the book itself, the words like OCD does not come up. It's
Yeah.
always shadow voice.
Yep.
So if you kind of didn't have a clinical background or you didn't know someone with OCD or didn't have the experience yourself, I think you could miss it. If you didn't
Yeah.
have this note at the end from the author, I think
Yeah.
you could miss that that's what's happening here. But as I was reading it, I thought either this is really well done, like
Mhm.
really a well researched portrayal of the internal workings of OCD,
Yeah.
or this person has experience with this. And so when the note came at the end, it was a really nice confirmation that an author is speaking from their own lived experience. I think that
Yeah.
prevents people from leaning into stereotypes
Yeah.
around um, mental health conditions. And so when I read that, it was just a confirmation that a lot of care and attention had gone into how
Yeah.
this happens.
Yeah, and, I know she mentioned too that that was, like, a way for her to, like, cope with what was going on with
Mhm.
her and all of
Mhm.
that. So, a question I have for you is how do you think her mental health became both a burden and a form of power for Ophelia?
Yeah, I love this question. And I think it's emblematic of what you see with a lot of mental health conditions. Fun
Mhm.
fact about me is that I have generalized anxiety disorder. And it's not equated with OCD, like there are separate experiences with their own
Mhm.
things. And I very much can relate to the experience of your mind working against you sometimes, or your
Yeah.
I would even say your mind trying to protect you and just doing it in a way that's not super helpful. I try to be on my own mind's team when I, talk about that. But I think what you see Ophelia going through is her for so much of the book, her mind is the enemy. The
Mm.
shadow voice is the enemy. And sometimes it really is the enemy.
Yeah.
That's real. The suffering you experience when you have things like compulsions, which is that tap 3 times if you want your family to live.
Mhm.
She also I see her experiencing intrusive thoughts. One that really sticks out to me cuz anxiety can have some intrusive thought stuff,
Yeah.
is when she just over and over again, it was like embarrassing, 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 she would
Yes.
do something and the shadow voice would just be like, "You're dumb, you're worthless, you can't do this, you're not," like,
Mm.
so in some ways the shadow voice can be an enemy, and I think
Mhm.
it is for especially toward the front of the book, it really is, something that she is constantly battling, and I think because it's something that takes energy and time away from whatever she's doing, that can make it a weakness in certain
Yeah.
circumstances. That, okay, I have this shadow voice ringing through my head, and I have to take energy and time away from the thing that I'm trying to do to stay alive to attend to this shadow voice, and you see this. And one quote that I thought was really powerful, that I think helps helps the reader to understand what it feels like, but I think in the context of the narrative, it was helping Blackwell to understand her inner world, because
Right.
he kept saying, "Oh, it's just another haunt. Don't worry about it. It's not real." And Ophelia says, "Imagine you believe with every fiber of your being that something is real, and suddenly you get an inkling that it is not. I have to live that nightmare every single day in my own mind. Do you have any idea how terrifying it is to have your own reality so distorted that you can't trust your own thoughts or your own sight?"
Yeah.
That, I think, is the crux of where that struggle or that weakness comes from.
Yeah.
Like, to her, these are not just haunts. It's like,
It feels
my
real.
mind is working against me sometimes, and
Yeah.
I can't tell if this is a haunt, if it's my brain, if it's the shadow voice, if it's you. So please stop trying to act like this is
Yeah.
nonchalant. It's not. The other thing I will say, the way that it becomes a form of power, and you see this toward the end, but I think it really starts to manifest in the way that Blackwell supports her and that she supports herself, is to move away from this idea that because the voice is there, you are broken. Blackwell says, "Ophelia, you don't have to fix yourself. You're not broken, but it's okay to get outside help if it gets too loud." And
I
she
like that.
then echoes that message later on. She goes, "I'm not broken. I'm I'm not broken because I need help with something. I'm not broken because this shadow voice is ringing through my head and I have to contend with that.
Mm.
It I'm I have strength because I can have this voice inside my head and have the strength to hear it, to acknowledge it, and to not let it negatively impact the people around me, or to show up in my behaviors in some way that's going to be unhelpful to me."
Mm.
So I think she learns that it doesn't take away from the difficulty that can come with a mental health condition. Sometimes shit's just hard, but there is strength in living with that, and with being able to say, like, "Yes, I have this going on in my mind, and I'm strong enough to live and operate and love and succeed and win
Of course, yeah.
in the midst of all of that." So I thought her trajectory and her understanding her own, in it wasn't diagnosis to her, but
Right.
her own shadow voice experience, helped her to see that this is not some, like, thing that you need to handle by yourself. I think we
Yeah.
should see that in the therapy space. Like, if you have a mental health condition, you don't need to deal with it alone,
Right.
and that coping with it is not the weakness. Coping with it is the strength.
Yeah. So I think that was said so beautifully, for her mental health experience. And I think, you know, like this whole book was basically like touching on that. So of
Mm.
course that's something that we had to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
And this is a really big book talk book. So it's like I'm sure many people see that and maybe feel like related to some of those experiences.
Oh, yeah.
So it's an important thing to talk about. So now we're gonna get into kind of the family side of this. So
Mm.
as we see with the Grimm family legacy, it's both magical and traumatic. So what do you think we inherit beyond blood?
Like, in our own families?
Yeah.
So much. We inherit values, beliefs. We inherit traumas. There's
Mm.
such thing as epigenetics, which is an area of study where we look at how. So, like, let's say your grandmother has a traumatic experience. Your grandmother already is carrying the genetic material that will be you. And
Mhm.
so if something changes uh gene expression in your grandmother, that could impact not only your mother but you.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about the inheritance of things from our families, we're not only talking on, like, a spiritual or sort of like familial level. On the biological,
Yeah.
neurological level, we are being passed down things from our family members on almost every plane of our existence.
Mm.
The way we interact interpersonally, our communication patterns, the way we see the world, all of that
Yeah.
is a part of who we are and who we become.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of times it can shape who we like how we see ourselves, you
Absolutely.
know. Do you feel like we owe our lineage any type of like redemption? Like what do you think are some common things that we see um where it's like a first time situation for their family legacy?
So I think depending on your family system, and every family system is different. So note
Mhm.
that if you're listening to this and you're like, I don't feel any particular need to fulfill a family legacy, that's valid.
Yeah.
If you're listening and you think, I feel a tremendous pressure to fulfill a family legacy, that is also real. So it's
Yeah.
different for every person, for blended families, for found or forged families. All of that is, there are shades of complexity to this. And I think folks feel a variety of different responsibilities to, and I'm going to call them ancestors. You used the word
Yeah.
ancestor earlier. That for some folks, it has to do with a family business. It could be as concrete as that.
Yeah.
And it could be as amorphous as a desire to carry forward a family tradition, or,
Mhm.
do you come from a matriarchal society or family, or a patriarchal society or family? There's so many values that come with that.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most powerful lessons of this book is something that we also help our clients to wrap their minds around, which is the legacy that you make out of kind of where the system you've come from. You can bring your ancestors with you on that, and you can pay homage to that in certain ways. It's also okay to do your own thing.
Yeah.
It's a both and.
Mm.
Follow the legacy that you think is important. And if something is a generational trauma, if something is a generational pattern that harms people over and over again, you can see it and you can track it.
Yeah.
It's okay to leave it behind. You don't need it. You don't need to keep that if it's not serving you and if it's not serving your loved ones.
Yeah.
There's a really great podcast, and they're not a sponsor, but Layla Saad, always welcome to offer a sponsorship. It's called the Good Ancestor Podcast. And essentially
Mm.
what they ask folks is what does it mean to you to be a good ancestor? And how do you want people to look at
Mm.
you as an ancestor when you're gone? And so I think as individuals, it's important to ask ourselves, what kind of ancestor do I want to be? Who do I want
Yeah.
to be to my loved ones? What parts of my
Mm.
inheritance do I want to carry with me? And then what parts of my inheritance hurt other people or hurt me? And what parts of that do I not need?
Mm.
And that's going to be different for everyone. I can't give you like the five
Oh, yeah,
things or
yeah.
whatever, but
Yeah.
I think helping folks to be creative and to open their minds to the fact that, just as Ophelia did in this story, yes, you can prize legacy, but you also get to be your own person. You also
Yeah.
get to explore what that means for you in your context. Have both, do both.
Yeah, and I think people learn that when they come to therapy too,
Mhm.
because a lot of times maybe they have a hard time with knowing how they want their life to go, or they're still not happy with the way things are, and
Mm.
discovering that you can be your own person is a really important thing, and I feel like that comes up a
Mhm.
lot in the counseling space.
Oh, yeah. Even folks not understanding that the belief or the value that they have based on their family history, that's not a ironclad reality. You can change your
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
Your values can be different if you want to choose differently. And
Mm.
I can't tell you, I could do a montage of people's faces just like, what? You
Mhm.
mean I don't have to prize this one value over all others, or I don't have to view the world this way? And there's
Yeah.
nothing that says you may inherit a value legacy from your family that's really good for you and empowering you.
Mm.
And I want to leave room for that too. Like
Yeah.
if your values align with your ancestors and your family's values, and that feels good to you and it helps you fulfill your life and your happiness, I love that. Do
Mm.
that. It's just about a normalizing if
Yeah.
that's not the case. And I think that's where I see more people struggle, is they say, I grew up learning that this was the most important thing, or I grew up learning that I had to be this kind of person.
Mm.
And I gotta tell you, it's not true. You can choose something different if you want to. And it's a scary process to
Mm,
realize that and
yeah.
have that be open to you.
We
It's
will
also
hold
really
you through it.
exactly. That's why we're here. That we're here to hold you in that uncertainty, hold that space in that uncertainty, and to let you explore that for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put beautifully. All right, so now we're getting into the love of this
Mm.
book. So, as we see in this book, Ophelia is conflicted with herself throughout most of the trials with her attraction to Blackwell and
Mhm.
following her mother's guidance, like we've talked about before, where her mother has said, don't make a deal with the devil. Like, she's kind of just telling her not to do any of the things that she's currently doing. His mystery is so attractive in this book. I think that's why she fell for him and somehow felt this connection to him. So, do you think that Ophelia and Blackwell's love is real or just a reaction to shared trauma or a blood oath situation?
Great question. And I think this is where the complexity of love as we see
Mm.
it in the real world space but also in the book is really important to acknowledge.
Yeah.
It can be any and all of that, right? And I
Mhm.
think in some ways it is. You can't deny that a 5 centuries old blood pact with a locket that certainly is playing into it here. And I think
Yeah.
it brings into the question, like, does the inevitability of that necessarily mean that it's less real? And I think you could meet some characters who'd be like, no, it's just because of the locket, and I don't want to be in love if it's just because of the locket. I kind of like that they lean into it.
Yeah.
They
They enjoy the
communicate, we were
moment.
inevitable. We were inevitable. For 5 centuries, we've been inevitable.
Aw,
Imagine that. Like,
that's
for
nice.
5 centuries, we've been making our slow, careful way toward each other. And
Look
this
at
is a
that.
realization of that. And I'm kind of like Ophi. Like, I'm not I'm not going to say that it plays no role, but I don't think that's all of it. And if that's part of it, then that's part of our story and I'm going to lean into it. I
Yeah.
really don't like when they say it's just because of it's just because of the curse we had. So what? Do you
Yeah.
feel does it feel powerful to you? Does it feel real? Do you love each other? Do you like to be around each other? If the locket plays into it, let the locket play in.
Yeah.
Outside of that though, so I do think there are magical components here that are drawing them together.
Obviously.
I still think that counts as a part of the reality of it, but certainly not something that they've brought in as individuals. I will say, I think that they are well matched. Now,
Yeah.
this whole competition takes place in 9 or 8 days. You can't know the depth of a person in 8 days. I would be
And they
hard
don't
pressed.
Yeah, and they don't really talk about each other like that. What's your favorite color?
I would
What's
well, and here's the thing. That's all learnable, right?
Yeah.
I think what you see them go through or what you see them figure out about each other, there are these core things about the way they operate and the way they like to move through the world
Mm.
that complement each other very well. There are things that they do as individuals that help them to see that they are a good match. Locket or no locket, phantasma or no phantasma. I think if they had met on the street, they actually would get along. And
Yeah.
they would
They have a
well,
funny little banter and everything.
yeah. I think Ophelia at the top of this is a little bit seclusionist. So if she could get out of her own way and like
Yeah.
get into an interaction with Blackwell, I think they
Mm.
would actually there's chemistry there and there's ways that they see the world and ways that they
Yeah.
interact with each other that make them a powerful match. I also think that they're probably going to spend a whole lot more time learning each other. There are core things they've learned about each other that help them to stay together, but that other stuff is going to come later. They're going to
Yeah.
face things as people that they didn't face in Phantasma, and
Obvious.
that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So, all of that to say, I do think it's real. I think in some ways it's young and unimaginably old love.
Mm.
Like, the oldness of the love can't be calculated, but it's young for what they can remember or recall.
Yeah.
And I think it's not the kind of deep, abiding love that comes from just a long time knowledge of each other.
Mm.
And if I had to project what I think would happen to them as a couple, I think that will get built in their eternal life with each other.
Pretty much. And
so
I
it's
think
real enough, I
yeah.
think, to last. And I'm sure that wouldn't come without some bumps in the road,
Yeah.
arguments and things.
Normal stuff. And
Out, yeah.
like just out of Phantasma, you have so much ability to kind of like be real and avoid like the life or death situations.
Well, and it's they had to really quickly bond together to survive. And that there's something about that trauma bond that makes it dive quicker, deeper, quicker than you would see in sort of normal situations, quote unquote. But I think they'll get the opportunity to.
Yeah. So now getting into some of the theories for Enchantra, which is book 2.
I don't know if I can talk right now because I think you might just have to.
I mean, you haven't read it, but you did read the blurb, and I didn't.
I read the blurb. Does that count? I don't know if that, because you don't actually have to have cracked the book.
Yeah.
To know what I know.
Yeah. No, you tell me what the blurb said.
How about this? If you don't want spoilers, if you don't want to have any effing idea what's going on in Enchantra when you open that book, stop the podcast now.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say a couple of things that are in the blurb in the back of Phantasma that give you a preview of what the second book is going to be about. So if you don't like that, we'll see you later. But I the only way I could talk about my theories if I tell you what's in the blurb.
Yeah.
So in the blurb, here we go. Spoiler. In the blurb, it's from Genevieve's perspective. She's in Italy. I do believe it's Italy. And she goes to this house to a family that's being haunted by something. And the guy who I think is going to be the MMC hates her. And she hates him.
Just out of nowhere, they hate each other?
I don't remember what the reason. I think I got the vibe that he like wanted her to leave. Like he tries to kick her out because he's got his own shit he's dealing with. And she sticks around and he's like, the fuck are you doing here?
Ooh, that might be nice.
So, because I know that, my thoughts for book 2 are, number 1, I do believe that Genevieve is plus size. And I am here for it. Body representation. Ophi is tall, sharp, willowy, like 5'11" woman. Genevieve, she's voluptuous, she's soft, she wears her pink. I love that. Yeah. Live your best, girl. I think it's gonna be enemies to lovers. Yeah. And because here's the thing, Blackwell and Ophi, they're not exactly friends, but they're never enemies.
Yeah, they're never enemies.
It's sort of, they builds their love. It's like goes to friendship, but I think this is going to be true enemies to lovers.
Ugh, I'm ready.
Which there could be some hate.
Yeah.
Some hate stuff, some fueled
very
by
passionate things.
Passionate stuff fueled by the hate that only comes with enemies to lovers. I think I'm of two minds about this. I'm wondering if there's going to be more trials or something that feels similar to Phantasma. I hope it's not a repeat of the same, like, okay, we're in a new game with new trials, but it's sort of the same format. I hope not that. Yeah. Or if that happens, that it's not repetitive. And I think Praise Kink was very much a part of Blackwell and Ophi's story. I'm wondering, is there a new kink on the horizon? What is the kink? How is it going to manifest? What's going to happen? So those, based on the blurb in Phantasma, I do want to reiterate, I did not read Enchantra, not even a word. Them's my thoughts.
Okay. So you did reveal a little bit of one of my theories of, like, I wrote down definitely needing more info on what Genevieve is doing and what the next stage of this story will look like. Now we know she's kind of on her way over there.
Yep.
I also would like to see what, like, Salem is getting revenge on with his father and that whole situation with the research of the locket.
Like, is he gonna go after the king of the devils?
I want to see what's happening next about that.
Ooh, okay.
And I mentioned I did see illustrations for Genevieve, and she is plus size.
Yes,
I love that.
Yes, girl.
And I do definitely want a different type of trial or story overall, because the trial stuff can get overplayed, especially because Genevieve already went through Phantasma.
Yeah.
Unless she goes back. ... So.
And, like, what does Enchantra mean? Do you know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
Phantasma is that particular kind of house.
Hmm.
Is Enchantra a different kind of is it the
Maybe
same devil
maybe,
magic?
like, a place that it, like, enchants you or, like, has illusions?
Maybe. Well, and that's the
Like a
thing.
house of mirrors type
This
of
guy and
situation?
his family are trapped in the house, I think, or
Mm.
it's something to that effect. Something's happening within the house
Mm.
that's keeping them there, and he does not want Genevieve involved, and she
I'm
for some
excited for this
reason
next one. Okay.
yeah.
So those are our theories for Enchantra, which
Yeah.
we're gonna be covering on our next episode.
Yes. I'm so
So
excited.
remember, everything that we discuss here is not a substitute for therapy or any type of diagnosing. Please, if anything bothered you or upset you, please go and get your own type of treatment, your own therapy. And just know this podcast is for fun. This episode diving into these books, it is just to discuss things as readers and not applying any type of like assessments or diagnosis on these things.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you want to support our podcast, please feel free to listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube.
Mhm.
You can find us on Instagram at Faye and Fables Pod, or you can email us at fayandfablespod@gmail.com. Thank you so much, y'all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.